Welcome back, everybody, to the H3 Podcast Live. Thank you to our sponsor today, Dollar Shave Club, Beach Body On Demand, Tripping, and eHarmony for sponsoring this episode. Next week, we have Captain Disillusion, who will be joining us on Friday. And please leave your questions for him on the subreddit. There's a thread up there. Today's guest is the great and wonderful and one of our all-time favorite guests, Dr. Jordan Peterson, who has graced us with his presence yet again. He has just released a new book, 12 Rules for Life, an Antidote for Chaos. Ela, hold that up. It's calm. Even the cover is calming.
It is calming. I feel much calmer when you look like one of those game show hostesses too. When you've got that
you could win.
That's right.
You don't, legend has it, you don't even need to read the book. Just keep it close. It has an aura. And this book, I've read it. I loved it. And listen, don't take my word for it. Take Amazon's top seller list for it. I don't know if that's more credible. But it's topping the charts.
It's number one, right?
It is.
It was for a long time number one.
Knocked out Donald Trump's book, which is
Got
a
him.
book about Donald Trump. Yeah, which was... who would guess that?
Right. Yeah, who would have guessed that?
That's for sure.
Well, anyway, thank you so much for coming back on the show. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing just great. I can't imagine how things could possibly be going any better. It's kind of insane. It's not kind of insane. It's utterly surreal is the proper way of it.
How do you feel about having become so successful? Is it scary? Does it ever concern you?
It concerns me 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Except it's sometimes like I forget. And then when I forget, it's sort of like, well, this is normal life. And then I remember it's like, this isn't normal. Right. It's like someone's poking me in the pin. It's like, this isn't normal. Then I relax. It's like, this isn't normal. I'm not complaining at all. It has been, what would you call? It's required a high level of alertness because in the situation I've been in since September of 2016, I haven't been able to say one public word without risking a fatal consequence. Right. To lose my job or maybe all of my jobs, because I have a number of jobs, to have my reputation demolished, to wipe out the financial security of my family. It's so that's always been there. It's less so now, but it's certainly not gone. And I mean, there's still vitriolic attacks on me, especially in Canada. There was an article in Canada's national newspaper today. It was a funny article.
Did you just tweet it? Because I saw you tweet something about just another angry white guy.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, well, you think about how reprehensible is that as a title. This is what I don't like about these identity politics types. It's like, oh, I see. This is about race, is it? It's like, you don't like me. Okay, fine, man. Hate away. But to categorize it in terms of something that has to do with like racial tension, especially in a country like Canada, is so utterly appalling that it's almost indescribable. It just makes my blood boil that, and I don't care that it's an attack on me. I've had lots of those. It's not like I don't mind. No one likes being attacked, but to frame it in racial, and then the next thing they did, this guy, it's like he's accusing me of exploiting my followers for money. It's like I put everything I do on YouTube for free. There aren't even ads. I have a Patreon account, but it's not like I'm twisting people's arms.
Everybody who goes there knows exactly the point of the Patreon.
Yeah, they do. They know the point. And
there's no coercion at all.
Not at all. And I made a purposeful decision to put up the content for free and not to put ads around it. And it's not like I think there's anything wrong with ads. It's like people have to make a living.
Sure.
And there's nothing wrong with making money either. It's a lot better than being worthless, useless, bitter, resentful, and unproductive.
How do you handle... People on the internet, we all handle hate of one kind or another. How do you handle it? Like knowing that there's people out there who have never met you, don't know you at all, but they just hate your guts.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on who they are. If they're an academic or a journalist of some repute, and they go after me without warrant, if they make arguments that are invalid, false, let's say, lies, we could even say that, then I'll go after them and call them out. Because I think if they're professors, it's like, get your act together. You've got a position of authority. and influence.
Well, it's a professional gauntlet.
That's
in
right.
A way, right.
That's exactly it. It's like you're going to come after me. You're going to tell me I'm not qualified. I'm off kilter. Whatever you think is like, prepare to defend yourself.
Yes.
And if you're a journalist and you're making accusations, it's the same thing. It's like, defend them if they're accusations. Conjure up a shred of proof.
Right.
And that's been hard on some of the people who've come after me. And that's fine as far as I'm concerned. If it's other people, sometimes I'll retweet it because out of curiosity, probably more than anything else. It's like, here's what someone said. It's like, what do we think of this exactly? Right. And I try to do not too much of that. Twitter is a weird medium. Like, Twitter is like walking through a room full of bear traps, essentially. Like, there's maybe a pot of gold at the end or something like that, but you bloody well better be careful. And it really rewards impulsive behavior.
Absolutely.
So Twitter's a weird minefield.
The way I've been thinking about Twitter and just internet comments in general is I've been taking a really conscious effort to not read comments anymore at all. Because I feel like reading comments on the internet about you is like listening into a private conversation of people talking about you. Like, people in private would say things about you that they would never say to your face and probably don't even believe to an extent, right? And so you're listening to all these private conversations of people saying just super exaggerated, awful things, but had they known that you were actually reading it, wouldn't ever say that to you. It's
that's a good point.
It's a really unnatural way to experience the world. All these people talking about you, almost behind your back, but you're reading it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good way of conceptualizing it. Yeah. Well, the problem is with social media is you don't know how to receive it. And it's for exactly that reason. It's not a medium of communication that ever existed before.
Right.
The other thing is that everyone's sort of the same on Twitter. Like, from someone who has 0 followers and is completely unknown to someone who's like extraordinarily well known. They get 140 characters, and it all has the kind of the same impact when it comes out.
Or age.
And age.
Yes, definitely. Or age.
Maybe I'll read
education level, any of that.
Right.
So
I'll read a rude comment and I'll be like, a 12-year-old could have written that about me, and I would never imagine being affected by what a 12-year-old wrote about me. But on Twitter, it can really fuck my mood up.
It has an equal...
Well, that's the other thing too, is that because people experience negative emotion disproportionately powerfully, it's like you can read 10 good comments, 100 good comments, and one vicious one, and you walk away thinking, "Oh, that vicious
that's so true for me. It's sick, and I'm aware of it, and it just drives me crazy."
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a strange thing. Now, I do read comments.
Do negative comments affect you?
Yeah, I would say so. They often make my blood boil temporarily, and that's dangerous on Twitter because I can usually think of something like vicious, and at least I think it's witty, but maybe it's not, but vicious and witty to like poke back at, and so I have to restrain that. Like, I'll do it sometimes if it's so funny I can't stand it, then I'll say it, But it's best not to do that, generally speaking. Yeah. I do read the YouTube comments. I read comments because I also want to see if there's a consensus about something that I've done wrong. Like if it's what I try to do is look for patterns. If 20 people say the same thing, you think, or if 400,000 people say the same thing. That's kind of what happened to Kathy Newman in Channel 4. It's like, well, there's probably a pattern there, but that's... And so I kind of use that as a way of making sure that I'm not making a systematic error of some sort. Sure. So, but yeah, it's a tricky thing to manage because you can get obsessive about it. That's easily, and you can have your equilibrium disturbed. But it is true that the negative comments have far more impact than the positive ones.
So sick. So, it's just like you said. I'll read 100 of the nicest, sweetest things anyone ever said about me. And for some reason, those don't leave. I don't walk away feeling like, yeah, man, that feels great. I'll read one really rude, mean comment, and that's the one that sticks with me.
I think it's because it's perhaps because like when people are really happy with you, they can pat you on the back, and that's real nice. And when they're angry, then they can stab you. And so stabbing is way worse than patting on the back is good.
So it's a
survival. Yeah, wow. Yes, definitely. And you're tilted towards susceptibility for negative emotion.
How do we overcome that? Like,
I don't think you want to. Even
I
it's
don't think anyone wants
unpleasant
to stab me.
Well, good, but there's always the possibility. But that's why that is why you're wired up that way.
That's so interesting.
Now, in person, I find it's different though, because when people come to my talks afterwards, they're lining up to talk to me to have the book signed, and many of them they say much the same thing frequently. It's about 80% of people. They say something like, my life wasn't going that well, and I had a lot of problems, and I've been watching your YouTube videos, and they've really helped me out, and thank you, and here's why things are better for me. And it's like, hey, great, man. Oh yeah, that works. That works.
I actually agree. When people say nice things in person, that feels good.
Yeah, that's a different thing. And I don't have people saying not nice things in person.
That's what I was going to say. Us too. We don't really get...
your videos suck, dude.
Never.
No.
Not even once.
No, that's the same with me.
Really.
It's just, there's just been no... like now and
but
then
that kind of proves my point. People would never say that shit to you in person because a lot of times they probably don't even believe it. They're kind of just venting.
Yeah.
They're like, that's right, it's impulsive.
That video disappointed me, so fuck this guy right now.
Yeah.
But tomorrow, or even in an hour, he's like, I can't wait for his next video.
People also, they don't think that necessarily, I think that anyone is going to actually take what they said on YouTube with any degree of seriousness, you know? And I think that's especially true when there's a lot of people commenting about a single person. It's like, well, you think, well, that person isn't paying any attention to this. They're not treating it like it's a genuine exchange between actual human beings.
True, because they're one of so many.
Yes, exactly. And so, but having said that, the vast majority of the comments on YouTube on my lectures and so forth they're positive. They're very positive. And like I find if my sense right now is that if I release a video and the like to dislike ratio is less than 50 to 1, then I've probably made a mistake. So and I kind of noticed that on eBay too. If you're a seller and your reputation is 98% or lower, that's not good. That's not good. So 2%, if you're pissing off 2% of the people on a regular basis, you're probably not aligned as well as you might be with your with reality.
Do you buy a lot of stuff on eBay?
Oh God, I bought things on eBay like a mad dog for
what?
I bought like 400 Soviet paintings on eBay.
Soviet
paintings?
Yeah. My house is completely covered with paintings.
What's your fascination with Soviet paintings?
Well, I've been fascinated with totalitarianism forever. And what happened was I read this paper by a guy named James Pennebaker, who's a really great psychologist at the University of Texas at Austin. And he was interested in when things become history rather than just yesterday. And he said, well, statues and so forth often start going up about 15 years after an event. So he thought things turn into history 15 years. And that was in 2000. And I thought, it's 11 years after the Berlin Wall fell. The Soviet Union is just about history. And so then I went on eBay and I thought, I wonder if I could buy some Soviet era artifacts. I was curious. So I started looking, and the first thing I bought was this silk flag that had been awarded to a factory for meeting its 5-year production quota. I thought, well, that's cool. I could have that. That's cool. And then I thought it was so funny. I just couldn't stand the irony of the world's most capitalistic enterprise. It's eBay, right? It's just free trade. That's all it is, right? Yeah. Unregulated free trade. Now I could buy Soviet artifacts. That was so funny. So I could buy like Karl Marx posters on eBay, discounted. It's like, yes.
That's almost like the perfect revenge.
It is. It's so comical. Yeah. It's so comical. Well, my daughter bought me a Karl Marx doll once because it was for sale and it was like 50% off, and she thought, that's just too funny, right? It's like
discount your ass.
Karl Marx. Yeah. And so I bought this flag, and then I was looking through the same guy's site. So he's basically a Soviet junk dealer, and he had this huge painting. It was just sprawled out on the ground. One photo that was bad had a big rip in the corner. It was Lenin and Trotsky and Dzerzhinsky, who'd run the KGB, announcing the establishment of the Soviet Union in the Winter Palace at St. Petersburg. And it was like 10 feet long and 8 feet high. And it was really high-quality painting.
Original?
Original,
wow.
Yeah. And the Soviets had state-sponsored artists, and they would pay them to make these paintings for their big buildings, and they'd pay them like 3 months' salary for a painting. He wanted like $100 for it, and I thought, okay, I'll buy that. And so I bought it, and I got it, and I unrolled it, and I had the rip fixed, and now it's in my living room, and weirdly enough. And I thought, wow, that's so amazing. And so I started looking for paintings.
Right.
And then I found about 6 junk dealers on eBay. They were all in the Ukraine because most of the Soviet paintings had been vacuumed up by British and American collectors before that. So I missed them, but I got the Ukraine. And then I got a network of about 15 people in the Ukraine who were going around picking up Soviet-era artifacts, and they were just emailing me pictures of all the paintings they found.
Oh my God.
And most of them were just horrible.
Right.
Like 98 out of 100 of them were terrible, terrible. And 2 of them were, they were so good I couldn't believe it. The technical quality was so high. And so I just bought every one I could get my hands on. So I have this crazy collection.
You were going to have one of the best Marxist collections of art of all time.
Well, I was interested in it for 2 reasons. I mean, one was the irony. It's like, haha, I can buy a Lenin painting on eBay. That's so funny. But then there was this other thing, is that the Soviets kept their 19th century studios essentially intact. So they had highly trained artists. And so they were producing realist, impressionist versions of modern life. So I have a painting, for example, of Yuri Gagarin, who was the first man in space, standing in front of a rocket and radar. And it's done in like a 19th century impressionist style. It was from 1962. So that's so cool to see that, you know. But I also really like the paintings because they're this weird battleground. They're a battleground between art, because the quality of the artist is extraordinarily high, and propaganda. And you can see the art, which is a much powerful force than propaganda. You can see the art and the propaganda struggling on the canvas. And over time, you can see the art winning. Because like in 100 years, that painting of Lenin, it'll hardly be a painting of Lenin at all, because who the hell will anyone know? No one will know anything about Lenin, or no more than we know about Napoleon.
Sure.
But it'll still be a great painting. And so the art wins across time. If it has quality, the art supersedes the propaganda. And then I wanted to have the paintings around too, because I've been obsessed with totalitarianism and the human capacity for atrocity. And having these paintings around just keeps that in my mind. It keeps me remembering that all of this happened. And I want to remember that.
So there you have it. You can find anything on eBay.
You can
I
find
love
it.
it.
I have
love
a submarine
eBay.
clock from a Russian submarine.
eBay really is.
I have been buying lots of like vintage old T-shirts, and I love it because, like you said, a lot of times it could just be like a shirt that was like merch for something, I don't even know what, but the art is so cool that I just buy it because I like how the art was, and I don't even care what it was
this
for.
company that's gone and out of business and nobody remembers or cares about produced this incredible shirt with like puffy paint and glitter.
Like so much detail.
Hila has a clothing company, and so like the detail and the manufacturing expertise is like so beyond what we can even do as professional clothing makers.
Right. Well, it's so funny
It's
too,
crazy.
because when an artifact is produced, mass produced, it's like it's dirt cheap, eh? But it's not, because once they stop producing it and it gets rare, it would cost you, like you couldn't do it. You couldn't produce a shirt like that for like $50,000, right? It was dirt cheap because they made 100,000 of them.
Yeah.
But once they're gone, you have that artifact. It's like it's irreplaceable. No one can make it.
Those vintage shirts are pricey now.
Yeah.
Several $100s now for a vintage shirt. Well, anyway, let's talk about the book. While reading your new book, in the foreword, I had really loved this anecdote about how your most popular response on Quora was in response to what are the most valuable things everyone should know, right? That was the question.
Yep.
And so you wrote up this little response. How many answers?
42 rules.
42 rules.
Yep.
Really short, snippy responses of 42 rules everyone should live by. And this was the inspiration for this book,
That's
correct?
right, yes.
And so
it got very popular on Quora.
Yeah, it was your most viewed.
By
and
far.
one of the most viewed on Quora, the site.
Yes.
And I was going over that list, and I loved it so much. And they're all really bite-sized little, snippets. And so I was wondering, if you're up for it, if we could go over that list as a little exercise and maybe expand on some of these points.
I want to tell you a funny story about that list, too. So, it got popular, so that was cool. But then a friend of mine, Greg Hurwitz, who's an author in L.A., he's written a series of books. They're Orphan X books. And this third one just came out. It's called Hellbent. And in the first one, which was The Nowhere Man, he had the female love interest put those rules on her refrigerator so that her son could live by them. So it's so funny. It's the rules have gotten a life in a fictional universe, which I think is really,
That
really
is
comical.
great.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really great. And he's interleaved them through the 3 books. So that's been really fun to watch that happen.
So I've noticed you've boiled down the rules because this
Yes.
one's 12 rules for life.
Yes.
That's the
This was
title of the
42.
book.
Yeah, well,
I
if
guess
it was
it's like the
42, it would have
commandments,
been
right?
this thick. Eh?
It's like, what is it? Like the commandments, when you boil them all down, they're like, these ones work.
Right.
This covers
Yeah.
the basics.
Right.
But let's go through this list because I
Sure.
thought this was great. And if
Okay.
you guys are interested at all by what we're talking about here, definitely pick up this book, 12 Rules for Life. So the first rule, tell the truth.
Yeah. And I changed that a little bit in the book because that's one of the ones I used in the book. That's Rule 8. I said, tell the truth, or at least don't lie.
Right.
And the reason I changed it a bit was because, well, you don't know if you're telling the truth. You know, sometimes you just don't know, right? And what do you know anyways, right? Do you know
Yeah.
the truth? Well, no. But you do know when you're lying,
Right.
at least some of the time, and you'll do it anyways. And so the hypothesis that I'm developing in the book is that you should stop saying things that you know to be untrue. And I go into it very deeply. Like there's an idea, it's one of the deepest ideas of mankind, but it's certainly one of the deepest ideas of Judeo-Christian civilization, that the way that you turn potential into reality. So imagine, people think that they live in the material world. That's what we think because we're materialists, we're modern people. But we don't really think that. If you look at the way people behave, this is how they act. They act as if they live in a world of potential, whatever potential is, because potential is what might be. And it's not real, right? Because what might be isn't real. What is real. What might be is potential. We don't even think of something that isn't real as actual. But if I say to you, you're not living up to your potential, you go, oh yeah, well, I know that. And if I say, well, there's new potential in tomorrow, you think, yeah, well, there is. So what really you confront is a field of potential. And you can decide how to transform that into reality. Not like you're a genie, but still with a fair bit of freedom. Well, there's this idea that's laid out in the first chapter of Genesis that when God creates the world, he creates it out of potential. And he uses the word, language, communicative. He uses communication and language to extract out of potential habitable reality. That's the basic narrative in the first part of Genesis. And the communicative strategy he uses is the truth. So that's the word, truthful speech. And then every time God calls something into being, he says, that's good. And so there's this theory that runs through the entire biblical corpus, and it's at the foundation of our culture, that the world that you speak into being with truth is good. And I believe that. I think that's the case. You know, like if you start a relationship and it's predicated on lies, it's like you can manipulate the other person into delivering what you hypothetically want, but all you're doing is setting the stage for a descent for one or both of you into something closely resembling hell.
Is that rule so steadfast? Is there anything as an honorable lie?
Well, I think there's in situations, you get yourself in situations where there's no honorable way out, and then you pick the least dishonorable way. That's white lies, you know.
Sure.
But a white lie, and there's black truths as well.
Sure.
That's when you tell someone something that's true, but you do it to hurt them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, this is true. It's like, yeah, but your motive.
So
for
how do you tell
saying
the
that-
difference?
Well, that's the question of ethics, right? I mean, sometimes you don't know how to tell the difference. And I would say, well, those are limit cases. You're not sophisticated enough to make a judgment there. But sometimes you bloody well know that what you're saying is
Yes.
wrong and you shouldn't
Most
say
of
it.
the time.
And you do it anyways.
Almost every time you do it.
That's right. Almost every time.
We have an innate sense of ethics,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's right. I believe that too. And I make a strong case for that.
I know you're a theist, right? Or I mean, you're a religious guy.
I'm a religious guy.
And
I
you
would say
have
that.
spoken out somewhat against atheism, if I understand that.
Well, I don't really believe in it.
You don't believe in it.
I don't believe in
Well,
atheism. I don't know what sort of person that makes me. You don't believe in God. It's like, okay, I don't
right.
believe in
But
atheism.
do you think that an atheist, because we just talked about our innate sense
Yeah.
of ethics.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that an atheist can have?
Oh yes, I think that atheists do have that. They explain that without reference to anything that would be metaphysical, you know. And fair enough. Look, as far as I'm concerned, if you can explain something without recourse to metaphysics, it's like good for you. Simplest explanation wins. But I think there are things that cannot be reduced so easily to the materialist viewpoint,
Sure.
for example. We have a bitch of a time trying to understand what consciousness is, for example.
Sure, yeah.
And what the atheists, I'm generalizing obviously, but they end up twisting themselves in knots trying to explain consciousness away and trying to explain free will away.
I think as somewhat of an atheist, an agnostic atheist, I mean, I'm comfortable just saying I don't know. That doesn't bother me, and I
Yeah.
don't think it bothers most atheists.
No,
either.
and I think look, the other
Like,
thing I
it's
should say about atheists is it's not like I think they're any less intellectually honest than fundamentalists.
Right.
In fact, often quite the contrary, because you see fundamentalists, the problem with the fundamentalists, broadly speaking, is that they insist that their truths, the biblical truths say, have the same status as scientific truth.
Right.
And that's just not right. Like whatever the story of Genesis, the stories in Genesis are, they're not scientific theories.
Okay.
They're more like, so this is the way I look at it. You read a great work of fiction. You read something by Dostoevsky or Shakespeare, and you think, that's so powerful, it's so true. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. It's fiction. You think, well, okay, but wait a sec. It's profound and true, but it didn't happen. Well, how can it be true? Well, you think, well, it's distillation, right? So you look at human life and you map it and you extract out the key elements to it and you tell this beautiful story that has the relevance across all sorts of domains, all sorts of people's lives. Well, that would be fiction, great fiction. Well, the biblical stories are like, you take a bunch of lives and you distill them into stories, and then you take a bunch of stories and you distill them into myths. And a myth has that kind of unbelievably potent truth that's
Right.
a consequence of the distillation of human wisdom. And there's something about it that's transcendent and true across time and all of that. It's eternal in some sense. And so that starts to border on what people would normally would appropriately consider religious. Now, you might say, well, that can all be true without there being a God. It's like, fair enough, fair enough. And when I did my biblical lectures last year, I did 15 biblical lectures only on Genesis. You know, I only approached them psychologically. I said, well, here's what these stories signify from the perspective of the psychology of narrative. Here's what they mean. Does that imply God or not God? And my answer to that was, well, I'm not denying or affirming that. It's like I'm leaving the doorway open for a metaphysical reality.
Sure.
And
The reason I ask is because there's a lot of religious people who just completely dismiss atheism or unreligious people. And you know, one thing that I always hear that drives me crazy is like, how do you know right from wrong if you don't believe in God? And that drives me insane because it's like, I don't think that I need God to tell me not to rape and murder people. That seems insane. For a religious person to say that almost says to me that you want to go out and rape and murder people. The only reason you don't is because you're afraid of God.
Well, see, I have a little bit more sympathy to that for that viewpoint, because my claim would be the ethic that you have that inhabits you, say, that helps direct your conscience, is partly a consequence of rationality, but it's more importantly a consequence of you being embedded in a culture that tells certain types of stories. So it's back to the story.
So you think the Bible influenced me, whether if I acknowledge it or I'm aware of it or not?
Oh yeah, it can't help it.
You think that what we acknowledge as ethics is a result of so many years of the Bible being built into our
Oh yes, and I would say like even profound, essentially atheistic philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche recognize that completely.
Well, what about like Eastern cultures who have never read the Bible and don't care about it?
Well, they generally have their sacred texts,
but they have relatively the same, barometer, to use the word.
Yes,
Steve Harvey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are certain principles that you have to live. I know that's a very good point. I mean, I would say it's a weird intermingling of biology,
right,
storytelling, rationality, all of those things, and culture, all of those things operating at the same time. And there are some things that are so fundamental that you just can't have a human society without instantiating them. So one of those is the principle of fair play.
Sure.
I talk about that a fair bit in the book. It's like even rats, like if you pair rats together in repeated wrestling matches, the bigger rat has to let the little rat win about 30% of the time.
That was from your book,
right?
Because
Exactly.
you don't want to destroy everything. It's like part of evolution. There needs to be a bit of survival left for everybody.
Yes,
otherwise it's just
and there has to be some
mayhem.
reciprocity in the exchange, especially if you want to maintain a social organization. So you might say, independently of religious belief, there has to be some reciprocity in the social organization.
So we've got that. What further than that does the Bible, for example, offer? Other than like these basic things that are innate in all of us.
Well, we could think about this symbolically, because like I would like to approach this psychologically, essentially. So you could take the idea of Christ. And so for Carl Jung, who was, I think, the world's greatest psychologist, I believe that, Christ was a symbol of what he called the self. And the self would be the source of your conscience. That's a way of thinking about it. The self would also be, from the Jungian perspective, everything you are plus everything you could be. And so the reason he called it the self was because it's the totality of you. And you don't understand that because, like, what the hell do you know about you? You are the most complicated thing that ever existed anywhere. And so you have some sense of yourself, but like, what do you know? You don't know how you're conscious. You don't know how you see. You don't know how you think. You just don't know anything about yourself except that here you are and you experience pain and all that. So God only knows what you are in the final analysis. And so, but Jung believed that Christ was a symbol of what you are. And so part of that meant, for example, here's two things. It meant that, here's a pathway through life that seems to be appropriate. And I'll couch it in religious language, but it's fundamentally a psychological observation. So it's something like, pick up your burden, so that would be the cross. That's the burden of mortality and betrayal, because that's what the cross signifies. Pick that up voluntarily and bear it. Okay, so that's your first goal. You do that without resentment and without bitterness. That helps constrain evil. Life is hard. You're subject to malevolence. You accept that without bitterness, and that requires that's a heroic act because really you're going to take that on fully, right? So that helps you transcend that suffering. Say, well, and then if you accept the suffering that life entails, and you accept the responsibility of confronting malevolence and overcoming it, there are parts of you that are going to die and transform. Right? You know what it's like to learn something. It's like you learn when you get walloped. It's like, oh, I got hit. It's like, oh, something in me has to die because it was really wrong, and that's why I made this mistake, and that's so goddamn painful, and you barely get through it. But then you reemerge from that underworld, and you're a better person for it. And so Christ is a symbol of that thing that dies and is reborn and dies and is reborn. And so that's
I like
so
that.
Jung is an extraordinarily powerful thinker.
I love thinking about it more in the psychological standpoint than literal, which a lot of people do that.
Well, we're at the point where the psychological interpretation is necessary if these ideas are going to survive.
Right.
So now you might then the last thing would be, and this is also extraordinarily useful to consider from a psychological perspective. It's like, well, who should the king bow down to? Well, no one, okay, because he's the king. There's no one above the king because there's no transcendent deity. There's no transcendent good. There's the king. Okay, well, that means the king can do whatever he wants. Well, that's no good because then everyone dies, right? It's like ultimate tyranny. So then imagine if you did something like this. Imagine you took 100 common people, 1,000 common people, and you distilled what was the best in them into 10 noblemen. Then you took 10 noblemen and you distilled them into a king. Then you took 10 kings and you said, okay, what's king-like about them? So what's the essence of being a king? And then you made that into a symbol. You say, okay, all you kings, you bow down to this symbol that's above you. Yeah, that's Christ.
Yeah.
That's the role that symbol plays in.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a Jungian.
Like
oh God, it's such
great.
a powerful.
I've never heard this stuff.
Yeah, well, but
way.
you see that in a lot of the symbolic language because one of the ways that Christ is put forward is as the King of Kings.
He's the king, right.
And that actually means something. It's such a funny statement because it's actually a description of how the idea was generated. It's like, or you could think about it this way.
It's interesting to think that people we're so intentional with their writing of the Bible. Like that's kind of genius literature that people don't even think about approaching literature that way anymore. But I guess the need for it is not as much as it used to be.
Well, the need is there, but we confuse the literal and we don't understand how to approach the stories. We don't understand, for example, that there's a truth in fiction that's different than the truth in science, but that's still true.
Right.
So, yeah.
Just
one more thing.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Quickly.
Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
so in the Christian drama, the world is laid out, and I talk about this particularly in Rule 7, which is do what is meaningful, not what is expedient. It's like the reality that Christ confronts archetypally. So the story is very stark, right? And the reason it's an archetypal story is, well, what's the worst possible story? Well, that's easy. The worst possible story is the most innocent possible person gets tortured the worst possible way because everyone betrays him, even though he didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Okay, well, so you can't push that story any farther. So you hit a limit.
Sure.
And so you have that limit case, and then you think, well, what do you do about that? You die and you're reborn because you can transcend that. But so there's limit cases in the Christian story all the time, because what Christ encounters is the tragic suffering associated with mortality. That's the crucifixion, right? That was a terrible form of torture. And the fact that it comes about because of betrayal and malevolence. It's like, well, that's your life. Like, that's life. It's suffering tainted with malevolence, and that's the world that you inhabit. Everyone. So how do you deal with that? You take it on voluntarily, you try to constrain malevolence, and you allow the parts of yourself that are unworthy to die and be reborn. It's like, that's the psychological interpretation. You might say, well, is there something metaphysical over and above that? Was Christ genuinely the Son of God? Well, that's a different question.
Sure.
And so, but I also think, I've had this intuition, that sometimes that the material world organizes itself in a way to reach up to the spiritual world, and that the spiritual world arranges itself to reach down to the material world, and sometimes they touch. And maybe they touched in the case of Socrates, and maybe they touched in the case of the Buddha, and maybe they touched in the case of Christ, because you have these individuals that are somehow head and shoulders above the rest.
Right.
And it isn't easy to account for that.
Yeah.
So
You mean like a Isaac Newton or a Einstein?
yeah. Well, and we know they're touched by genius.
Yeah.
Or Mozart. It's like Mozart. Well, here's a story about Johann Sebastian.
Let's go to commercial.
Let's do it.
We will be back shortly after this brief word, and we will get right back. We have got through
One.
What?
There's 41 left.
It's done.
We're going to be here a while, guys. We got a lot still to talk about. So we will be right back. Don't go away. Thank you to Dollar Shave Club for sponsoring this episode of the H3 podcast. Everybody's heard the name Dollar Shave Club, and everybody knows that they make the best razors in town. But did you know, Hila, that they're also making body wash, shampoo, hair gel, lip balm, everything?
I did not know that.
Well, now I'm telling you about it, because
Wow.
everything specifically means butt wipes. They write everything, but I know they mean butt wipes. As soon as I heard Dollar Shave Club had stuff other than razors, I was all in, because their razors are the best. And their baby wipes, the wipiest.
They're beyond the best.
Beyond the best. At stores, there are way too many options. You can't tell the difference between any of them. And the clerks, at Ralph's, he's going to give you recommendations on what razor to buy? Are you kidding me? What, some 16-year-old kid's going to tell me which razor's the best? Yeah, right.
They'll barely even answer when you try to get help.
They didn't even shave yet. Dollar Shave Club makes it easy and convenient for you to upgrade your shave and your bathroom products, and they deliver them right to your door, because you're lazy like me and you don't want to leave your house. Thank God. Just like the razors, everything is super high quality and left me looking and feeling amazing. Hila couldn't keep her hands off me. I walked out of the bathroom all shaved. I was glistening. I smelled good, and my butt was clean, which is unusual for me. I walk out. I'm like a glowing god, like at a cartoon. And Hila's like, oh, my God. Needless to say, I got laid that day.
Okay.
Look, we're married. That's what married people do, Hila. Don't be embarrassed. Call to action. If you're like me and sick of the nonsense at this store, now's the time to try out the Dollar Shave Club for a limited time. They're basically giving away their shit shower shave starter kit to new members. Listen up, because it's only $5. This starter set features the executive razor with 3 trial-sized versions of their most popular products that help you stay fresh and clean and will probably get you laid even if you've been married for 10 years. That's how spicy hot this shit is. In your first box, you'll receive their shave butter, body wash, and one wipe Charlie butt wipes. My brother-in-law used the butt wipe, and he's like, you know what? I have to say, that butt wipe was incredible. It's got like eucalyptus in it. It smells incredible. It's got like a tingle. You will also receive their full They also received their executive razor, which includes their premium weighty, my dogs, handle and full cassette of cartridges. After the first box, replacement cartridges are sent for only a few bucks a month. That means you're set up for life. This offer exclusively available at dollarshaveclub.com/H3. That's dollarshaveclub.com/H3. And if you want to give them a great gift, give them Dollar Shave Club. They've got super simple gift membership and e-cards available as well. Dollar Shave Club's high-quality products will have you covered from face to cheek and to butt cheeks. There's no better time to try the club. So thank you, Dollar Shave Club, for sponsoring us. If you're in the market for any of that stuff, I swear you won't regret it. And help support the show. So thank you so much. Next up, Beachbody. Oh, my God. Beachbody On Demand. Beachbody. I'm sorry. Did they see me at the beach or something and they got inspired by my body? Like, we need to make a website dedicated to this guy. Beachbody On Demand is an online fitness streaming service that gives you unlimited access to a wide variety of highly effective world-class workouts personalized to meet your needs. Beachbody On Demand also includes extensive nutritional content, all proven to help people achieve their health and fitness goals. Beachbody On Demand is the total package to help you become the total package this year. I started Beachbody. You're all going to laugh at me because I'm a tub of lard, but Fupa loss, it's a new year, and it's a new Fupa loss year. And
I believe we've heard that last year, but...
Hila, last year I augmented a lot of Fupa coin, and this year I've made dividends, and I'm cashing out on the Fupa coin.
Okay.
So here, they have so many different exercises, so many different variety of everything you can do. There's an exercise called, what was it called? Insanity Asylum. Something that's like, Lance Armstrong can go climbing up a hill to. But then there's stuff for me that's called like Brazilian butt lift. That's my favorite.
And my favorite is the hip hop abs.
Hip hop abs, hey. But, they've got everything and everything in between. They got P90X. They've got the Insanity. They got the PIYO. I don't know what that is. PIYO. 20-day fix. 21-day fix. Beachbody On Demand is convenient. You can access it from your computer, web-enabled TV, tablet, smartphone, or any other web-enabled devices. No need to go to the gym or schedule a class. It's right there in front of you. Do you know how expensive gyms are, by the way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Such a scheme, bro. It's like $50 a month, even more sometimes.
Well, that's just the membership, but if you actually want to go to like you
have
your trainers, yeah.
It's gonna end up costing you like $100 a month to get the support you need to lose those lbs and get rid of those Fupa coins. It's time to get rid, cash out. These guys are going to cost you less than it costs a gym for the monthly fee. You're going to have all the help and instructions you need by pros on video streaming service. You are going to lose the Fupa this year with Beachbody On Demand. There are 600 different workouts you can sort by your favorite trainer. If you're traveling, you can do it in your hotel room. No time, Beachbody On Demand has workouts that range from 10 minutes to over 1 hour. And Beachbody On Demand knows that nutrition is key. Abs are made in the kitchen, or lack of abs in my case. Abs are lost in the kitchen too, so be careful. Beachbody On Demand knows that working out is just part of the equation. That's why they provide comprehensive nutritional plans to help meet your goals. Access to information on meal prep, variety of recipes, and simple but proven eating plans. Here is the incredible offer for you, my beautiful fans. You can try this amazing program, all 600 workouts and nutritional information for free. Plus, your annual subscription is cheaper than a gym membership. So here's what you got to do. Right now, my listeners can get a free trial membership when you text H3 to 303030. You will get full access to this entire platform for free, all workouts and nutritional information for free. Just text H3 to 303030.
That's pretty awesome.
I love that texting thing. Oh, Zap, free membership, got him. Guys, if you're like me and it's the year to lose that Foop, hit up your boys at Beachbody On Demand and get a free membership. I'm going to be there. Let's lose that Foop, my doggies. Thank you so much. Please consider supporting our sponsors. It helps support the show. Let's get right back into it. Welcome back, everybody, to the H3 Podcast Live. We were discussing your 42 rules. So the second one being, do not do things that you hate. Mm-hmm. Is it possible in this life especially coming off of our last conversation, we're human beings carrying around heavy burdens, being crucified, right? Metaphorically. How do we avoid doing things we hate?
Well, I think we should define hate first carefully.
Okay.
It doesn't mean do not do things that are difficult. It doesn't mean stop procrastinating and attend to your duties. It means if what you're doing makes you feel weak and low and contemptible and mean, then you should stop doing them. It's a signal. It's like the voice of your conscience, except it's more embodied. It's like, oh, I just felt miserable when I did that. I was ashamed of myself. Maybe that's another way of stating that.
Don't
do things that make you feel ashamed. Now, it's tricky because you might say, well, what if you're more ashamed of things than you should be? Well, sometimes that happens, right? You have an overactive conscience. Well, then you have a dialogue with your conscience. You talk to other people to find out if you're being too hard on yourself. But you might think, well, if you wanted to exist on good terms with yourself, then doing a bunch of things that you regarded as shameful is not a very good pathway to achieving that.
Sure.
And so, and you can notice, and that these are what would you say? These are injunctions to pay attention. It's like, I'm not saying follow other people's rules, although often you should do that, but that's not the issue. The issue is watch and decide for yourself. Decide when you're saying something that you regard as untrue, and don't say it. And notice, it will make you feel weak if you say it. Like you might feel sneaky and manipulative and that you got away with it, and that sort of arrogance. And I wouldn't recommend that. That's a bad pathway. But often it makes you feel little and small and useless and ashamed. It's like, okay, if you don't want to be miserable and wretched in your life, then stop doing the things that make you feel that way. So
shame is a defense mechanism, you think? A natural defense mechanism against bad behavior?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Generally speaking, is that what shame often indicates is that you did something that worked real well now that will bite you badly in a week or a year.
Do you think shame is associated with religion or is that just a natural human response?
It's both.
Because it happens in animals too. You can see a dog as ashamed.
You seem to be able to see it in dogs. Yeah. I think that it's both. It's that a person without shame is a dangerous person because they don't have any compunctions about violating the social contract. And you might say, well, the social contract's arbitrary. And no, it's not. Like the element of the social contract that involves reciprocity, that's not arbitrary at all. You can't have a relationship that's sustainable without, well, you go out of your way for me, and thank you very much, but then I track that, and then if I have a chance, I like to repay that, maybe with a bit of interest. And that's a great dynamic, eh? You do something good for me, and then I notice that, and I do something a little better for you. We get that going back and forth. It's like, man, we have a good relationship. It's a great arms race. It's an arms race upwards. Yeah, it absolutely is. And so that's part of the natural ethic. And I would say to the degree that your conscience is functioning properly, because I think it can malfunction too, but to the degree that it's functioning properly, it's going to tell you when you're violating the basic rules of reciprocity. Like, look, when your dog comes bouncing up to you all happy, you don't cuff it, right? Now, even if it doesn't hurt the dog, you're not being cruel. It's just not something, that's not, if you want the dog to continue coming up to you happily, then you don't cuff it when it does something positive. And so if you violate that, you should feel ashamed because it's a signal from the wiser parts of your being that you're going to pay for your impulsive idiocy. So that's what that...
Even children, I would say, have shame before even the realization of religion.
Yes, definitely.
So, I don't know how it plays into the larger part there, but there's shame is so powerful.
Some of what religious belief tries to do, and applied ethics as well, is to codify what is shameful. Because before you articulate it and try to encapsulate it in rules and principles, like pay attention to your shame. Okay, that's pretty low resolution. Don't cheat at games. Okay, that's a lot more articulated, but it's a reflection of the same thing because you'd say, well, if you're playing a game with someone and you cheat, you violate the game, then the game can't continue for you or for the other person. And so that's a bad deal. And you feel ashamed. Well, that's good because that helps you maintain your ability to play games. But then you can articulate that and you can say, oh, there's a general principle there, which is don't cheat when you're playing games. And then you can elevate that to the status of a commandment, say, something like that. So then the religious injunction sort of sits on top of the biological reality, and they match, and that's a really good, that's a really good thing. You know, and I think some of the prohibitions against sexual impulsivity have that basis. It's like, well, don't sleep around casually. Well, why not? It's like, why can't sex just be casual and fun? It's like, well, it's too, you can't divorce it from the rest of life. Like, let's say you try to divorce your sexual conduct from your emotional life. Well, okay, if you do that 500 times, what sort of person are you?
It's a vice, like anything else.
Well, it starts to violate the reciprocity arrangement with other people. It's like, well, we can just use each other for sexual pleasure. It's like, well, you lose something. You lose. You bet you lose something. Human. Yeah. And the more you practice doing that, the more you'll lose it. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
The next one, act so that you can tell the truth about how you act. Kind of ties into what we just talked about, really.
Sure.
Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient.
Right. That's rule 7 in the book. So here's a strange idea, but this is another example of, I think, where the physical and the metaphysical touch. So we talked about what reality might look like. There's a material reality, let's say, that's what is, but then there's the reality of what could be, that's potential, it's something like that. And so potential has this weird existence. Well, here's another strange thing. You might say, well, what's the best way of conceptualizing reality at the highest level of abstraction? What is reality? There's this old Taoist symbol, yin and yang symbol, eh? So there's a black serpent, and it has a white dot in it, and there's a white serpent, and it has a black dot in it, and they're tail to tail. And that whole symbol is Tao. And Tao means a bunch of things. It means potential. It means the way of life. So to live in Tao is to live in the proper manner. And you kind of live on the border between the black serpent and the white serpent. And then you say, well, what are those two things? Well, they're the two ultimate categories of reality, yin and yang. Well, how would you translate that into English? Well, masculine, feminine, that's one translation. But a better one, I would say, is order and chaos. You say, well, what's order and what's chaos? Well, order is when you're where what you're doing is producing what you want to have happen. Okay, so why is that orderly? It's because you can predict it. You do A, and you want B to happen, and B happens. So what does that mean? It means you know where you are, you know what you're doing, and things are working. And then you're calm, because there's nothing to be nervous about, and you're moderately happy, because you're getting what you need and want. And there's evidence that you are competent, because that's why things are working. That's order. Now, everyone knows that order can be shattered into disorder at the drop of a hat. You can be walking down the street and you're all happy and you're with your partner and, you know, she makes a mistake and steps off the curb and a bus hits her. It's like in 1 second you are not anymore in order. Like the bottom has fallen out of your life. And that's why there's a black dot in the white serpent. It's like, orderly as it is, look the hell out, because your life can be flipped upside down in a moment. Okay. Well, then sometimes you're in a dire state and everything looks absolutely hopeless and you get a new realization and bang, you know, everything snaps together. And so that's when you're in chaos and order can reveal itself. Okay, so order and chaos. You can think about it as the ice that you skate on with the water below. That's another way of thinking about it. Now you say, well, is that real? Is it really that the world is made out of order and chaos? Well, here's something weird. You have 2 hemispheres. Right? And hypothetically, they were selected by the processes of natural evolution, right? They were selected by reality. Well, you have a right hemisphere and a left hemisphere. So it's kind of like, well, reality must have 2 elements, because why would you need 2 hemispheres otherwise? And they do have relatively separate consciousnesses, those 2 hemispheres. You think, well, okay, we've been selected to have this bifurcated view of reality. Well, what are they specialized for? Turns out the left hemisphere is specialized for those places where your routines work. That's the left hemisphere. And the right hemisphere is specialized for all those places you go when you don't know what you're doing. So the left hemisphere is specialized for order, and the right hemisphere is specialized for chaos. And so then you might think, well, does that mean that the world being is really made out of order and chaos? It's like, well, if you use the Darwinian logic, that's what it means. Okay, so what does meaning signify? Well, here's what it is, as far as I can tell. So imagine that you're watching a gymnast, and two gymnasts. We'll start with the first one. And the gymnast pops out on the floor and does her routine, and she's like, she's on it, man. Like, you can tell this girl has put her 50,000 hours in, and every single thing, impossible thing she does in succession is flawless, right? And at the end, she, what would you say?
Voila.
Displays herself to the crowd, right? And the crowd is like, wow, that's so impressive, because they think, wow, she's human, and look what humans can do, and isn't that so cool? And they're so thrilled, and the judges go 9.8, 9.8, 9.8. It's like, because I think it's 10 points for gymnasts, and it's like, well, now what does the next gymnast do? Because how do you top perfection, right? Because you can't. But that's not true. You can. So the next gymnast comes out, and she goes through her routine too, and it's perfect, but it's more than perfect, because you can see that with every bloody move she makes, she's pushing herself right to the ragged edge of disaster. Like she's risking the performance of her life, and that means she's risking a big mistake, because you risk that when you do the performance of your life, and you can just see her straining. It's like when you hear a great violinist or a great guitarist play something, and they bend and twist all the notes, so they're kind of rough and ragged, and they know how to do it perfectly, and they put this vicious edge on it. It's like, you just love that. And so the gymnast is out there just stretching herself right to the limit of her ability, right? And then she does voila, right? And she's sweating, and it's like triumph, and the whole damn crowd just leaps to their feet, because she was better than perfect. She was perfect in the way that will make her more perfect in the future. And that's meaningful. And that's why the crowd leaps to its feet. And she's on that border between chaos and order. And that's meaningful. And so what I would say is, what your brain does for you is tell you when you're in the right place at the right time by infusing your life with significance and engagement. And it's saying, look, you've got the cosmos is lined up around you. It really, truly is. You're right in the right place at the right time. You're in your domain of competence, but you're stretching yourself so that you're actually improving at the same time. And that's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And so I think for a long time we've cast doubt on the reality of meaning. That's part of the death of God. There's no real meaning in life. It's like, no. It does not look like that's true. It looks like it might be the case that there's nothing more real in life than the sense of meaning. I actually think you can I do make that case in 12 Rules for Life. I think you can make a completely coherent case that meaning is an unerring guide. There's limits. If you're going to allow your sense of meaning to guide you, you don't want to lie to yourself, because you pathologize the instinct. Because if you keep filling your head up with nonsense, the meaning generator is going to become corrupted, and it's going to make things shine for you that shouldn't shine. They'd only shine for someone who's corrupt. So if you're going to be guided by your sense of meaning, then don't fill your spirit with garbage. And that sort of applies to the first few rules. Don't lie. Don't do things that you hate.
You're building upon the previous rules.
Right. Don't make the thing that guides you ill.
And so you think that meaning is that living on the border of chaos and order.
You bet.
That's
the Tao.
Really,
That's the Tao.
yeah.
That's where you are. If you live in Tao, it's on the line between chaos and order.
Controversy, or on the other end, you say not what is expedient. So how do you confuse those two things? What do those two things look like?
Okay,
how do you not confuse them?
No problem. Look, so I came in here for this discussion today, and I could be thinking, I want to tailor this interview so that I sell as many books as possible. So like I have a goal. I'm going to come in here, and if you veer off on some topic that I don't think is relevant to my goal of selling books, then I'm not going to participate. I'm going to steer you back. I'm going to mention it every chance that I get, because what I want to have happen from this talk is that I make more money. It's like, okay, so then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to manipulate the conversation to facilitate that goal. Okay, so that's expedient. But then I could say, no, let's not bother with that. Not because there's anything wrong with that. I mean, it's not a problem to have a goal. It's a problem to manipulate people.
Sure.
But I knew we were going to talk about the book, so it wouldn't be like out of you wouldn't regard that as incomprehensible if it started to happen. If I said something, well, can we direct the conversation back to the book? You wouldn't take offense to that, not in any real sense. But what I would do, and what I want to do instead is come and, you guys like to have open discussions. And like what we're doing when we're having an open discussion is we're trying to elevate each other's spirits. And so that's like rule 9, right? Assume that the person you're listening to knows something you don't. It's like there's things you need to know. There's things I need to know. There's things you need to know. If we actually have a talk, maybe we'll all come away less stupid. And since if you're stupid, you wander into a pit, then maybe it would be better if you weren't stupid. And so I'd rather come on and say, well, let's engage. So let's occupy that place of meaningful conversation. Let's trust it and see where it goes. And then let's assume that whatever happens is the best thing that could have happened. It doesn't matter. Because maybe the right outcome for this podcast isn't a particular percentage of increment in book sales. Maybe it's the fact that, well, we got along and we decided to do something else together in the future, or maybe 5 things in the future, or maybe it's more inspiring for the listeners. And so there's also this idea, this relates to the idea about truth. There's a real fundamental idea that's really deeply rooted in Western civilization, which is that the most daring possible approach to life, and I would say the most meaningful approach, is to tell the truth and let whatever happens happen. It's an adventure. It's like, so I could come in here and say, well, I'm going to craft this conversation so it's about my book. And it's kind of predictable. I know what's going to happen. But it's way more engaging to say, no, let's just have the best conversation we can have and then wait and see what happens. Well, that's way more, that's super interesting. That's way more interesting. It's way more meaningful.
Almost, in other words, like short-sighted, expedient.
That's right. That's the problem. I don't think there's anything that has longer vision than that sense of meaning. Okay, so I'll tell you something that's so cool. This just bloody well blew me away when I learned it. This is from Jung as well. So we talked about the idea of the self, right? So the self is everything you are and everything you could be across time. Okay, but here you are caught in this little fragment of time. But there's this you that has the potential across time. Well, and it's something that you're trying to grow towards to maximize your potential, right? So then you might ask, well, how does that potential manifest itself in the present so that it can be revealed? Well, the answer is through the instinctive meaning. So that was Jung's answer. I thought, wow, that's just mind-boggling, that idea. It's like, okay, you could be more than you are, obviously. That's obviously the case. How does that manifest itself in the moment? Well, that which you could be tells you where to walk by making that path meaningful. Wow. It's like, really? Could that be the case? Well, what else would make what you're doing meaningful? It's like, come up with a different explanation if you want. See if you can come up with a better explanation, because I don't think you can.
Walking the path that's more challenging.
Yeah, because you need to be optimally challenged, right? Because you're not. So here's a couple of things that we've learned recently. So I could say, well, why do we grow in a conversation that's genuine? Well, it's because we're sharing information, right? And then we build each other out of the information. We build ourselves out of the information. So that's just a cognitive approach. But here's something else that we've learned recently. It's like, let's say you go pick up a new, like a physical hobby. Like you start weightlifting, or maybe you do jujitsu or something like that. And so you're in a new environment and you're faced with new challenges. Genes in your brain turn on that weren't on before, and they code new proteins and they build new structures. And so inside the genetic structures that underlie your physiology are all sorts of physiological potentials that won't manifest themselves unless you put yourself in a new situation. And so by challenging yourself constantly, you're turning on parts of yourself that wouldn't otherwise be on. You could say, well, life is horrible and tragic and bitter and cruel, and everyone is suffering from being persecuted and from evil. It's like, yeah, okay, it's fine. So how are you going to deal with that? Turn yourself on. You go everywhere and click everything on, and then maybe maybe you could handle it. So I'll tell you a wonderful story. So in the Chartres Cathedral, the cathedral is a cross. Okay, so the cross, the center of the cross is the center of consciousness. It's the point of maximal suffering. Okay, the cathedral's a cross. Now, on the floor of the cathedral is a maze, a big maze, and you can walk it. So you go into the maze at the bottom quadrant, and then you walk all the way through the bottom right-hand quadrant, completely walk through it, and then you get to the top right-hand quadrant, and you walk all the way through that. Then you get to the top left one, and you walk all the way through that, and the bottom left one, and then you come to the center. It's a symbolic pilgrimage. So what it means, and it's a map of the world, north, south, east, and west. So it's symbolically the world. So the idea is that you have to walk through the entire world in order to get to the center. So you have to go everywhere and do everything to turn yourself on enough so that you can handle what's coming towards you. And you do that voluntarily. You open yourself up to the challenge. It's like, wow, I read all that. I thought, wow, that's such an amazing idea. It's so, and it's true because, all you do if you shrink from life,
Right.
the more you shrink, the smaller you get, unsurprisingly, right?
Sure, yeah.
And the more you move forward confidently and willing to take on the challenge and the potential danger, then the stronger you get. And then you might say, well, what's the upper limit to that strength? Well, you're really good for you. That would be good. You're really good for you and your family at the same time. It's like, oh, bargain. You're really good for your family and your community at the same time. And then you're really good for all of those in a way that gets better and better across time. It's like, well, that would be the ultimate expression of human possibility. It's like, well, that's a hell of an antidote to chaos, right?
Do you
And
think
a real thing.
You think that travel is paramount to growth?
I think so, but I think you can travel in many ways.
Right.
Right? Because some people can travel. In chapter 3 of this book, which is Make Friends with the People Who Want the Best for You, I talk about some friends I had when I was a kid who traveled but never went anywhere. They go to the city and they just recreate their little hellish environment immediately in the new territory.
So how would one travel who has a great heart and wants to grow but doesn't have the means to leave whatever small town they're in?
Books. Anywhere there's the opportunity for learning. Pick a new skill to develop, whatever it might be, and hit that hard. Develop the discipline. I mean, with the net, God, you can learn anything about anything whenever you want, right?
Sure.
From the world's greatest experts. And so, I would say, if you don't know what to do, then pick something. Like lots of young people, well, what should I do? I don't know what I should do. I'll wait until I know. It's like, no.
Just
Waiting makes you shrink. It's like,
true.
pick something. You think, well, maybe I'd like this. It's okay, fine. What do you know? Maybe you're wrong. Hit it hard. Walk towards it. You get halfway there, you might think I'm on the wrong road. It's like, that's okay. You've progressed. Damn right, man. You're not where you were. And so now the world looks a little different. You think, oh, I should be over there. You would have never figured that out unless you would have walked in error halfway down the road. It's like, and one of the things I learned from these biblical stories that I was lecturing about last year, after the Tower of Babel and the flood, that ends the really ancient stories. Then you get into the Old Testament patriarchs, and what happens to them, Abraham in particular, is Abraham's living at home when he's like 80. He lives in his mother's basement, and, essentially. And God says, get away from your family and your kinsmen and go out into the world. So it's this call to adventure, right? And so that's the voice of God is calling him out into the world. It's the voice of adventure. And the first thing that happens is he hits a famine, then he hits a tyranny, and then the tyrant and his men try to steal his wife. It's like, what the hell? It's like,
Why did I leave?
Right, I was all comfortable, and then God himself said, leave, and then it wasn't like I was on the road to Eden. It's like tyranny, starvation, threat to my family. It's like, well, that didn't turn out very well. It's like, no. And these old stories, they're so interesting. They're so meandering as these people go through unbelievably, strenuous adventures. And they make all sorts of horrible mistakes. They betray each other. They're involved in adultery and betrayal and murder and war and like the whole range of human experiences. But they keep going. They keep moving, motivated by this desire to move ahead. And God is with them on that journey, and that's something I found that was an absolutely remarkable consequence of reading those stories as well.
Most of us don't ever deal with the shit they go through.
Oh, God.
But and for us, if you just keep moving and walking, how much better off are you going to be without a king trying to slay
Right,
your wife?
right. We have all this
We're
opportunity.
way better off.
Mhm,
Yeah.
that's right. We have, although I guess the very ease of it sometimes is a temptation in itself, because you can sit around and do nothing and not immediately die as a consequence. Like, and sometimes it's better if the punishment is harsh. It's like, you're useless.
Sure, motivating.
Whack.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you're useless. Lay on the couch for 10 years. And you just get, you know, bitter and stupid.
I think shrinking is a good way to.
Yeah, you
I
shrink.
like that.
Yeah, well, and it's all, and the danger in shrinking is that it increases the probability that you'll shrink further. You know, because if you retreat, you've already retreated, and then if you're 10% smaller because you retreated, well, then what's the possibility that you're going to advance? It's very low.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that. So to young people who don't know what they're doing, it's like, do something.
Just
Pick a
move.
difficult
Right.
target and move towards it. That will do the trick.
That's great.
No,
right.
don't wait for inspiration or
That's true.
Not
That's,
if it's not coming.
That's one of the artists, you know.
that's something
great
that I've
trials.
always
Yeah.
learned. Like, inspiration doesn't just happen. I don't
No.
know. You need to make it happen.
No,
Just
and when I'm sitting
work.
down and writing, for example, it's like I sit down every day, and all of the time I have the same thought initially. It's like, oh God, there's no way I'm going to be able to write anything halfway intelligent today. And then it's like just a pain to switch
Get the
into that
gears
mode.
moving.
Oh yeah, it's like
Revving up the engine.
Oh yeah, and I want to have a snack. I want to have a nap. I want
Right.
to clean my
Yeah.
room. It's like, you know,
Right.
I want to do something else virtuous so I have a good excuse for not writing. It's
Right.
like, but you sit through that goes away if you quell it. And then, well, my experience has been, if I sit there and don't leave, I will write something of utility.
I
And
feel
when
like-
you finish, my experience has been that sometimes I'm surprised. How did I even do that? Like, once I do finish something, you know?
Yeah, well, you don't know how you do it really.
I feel like that's the universal creative experience. But it's important that people understand, because nobody ever really feels motivated, not enough to actually ever complete anything.
Especially if it's difficult.
Right,
You
exactly.
know, and most worthwhile things turn out to
Are
be very
difficult.
difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into our second break. We're slow going here, but this is a great conversation. I'm loving it. Lots more to come, guys. Stay tuned. Brief commercial break. See you soon. Thank you to Tripping for sponsoring this episode of the H3 podcast. Tripping. Did you know that the average family visits 5 totally different websites before booking a vacation rental? You know, it is
Right.
getting pretty annoying out there.
That's right.
You're shopping around, you're looking at all these websites. I often just give up.
I hate it.
It's like,
And I
at this
do
point,
it a lot.
It's ridiculous. Well, here's what's great about Tripping. You can spend less time planning your next trip and more time relaxing with Tripping.com, the world's #1 site for vacation rentals. Tripping.com is trusted by millions of travelers and featured by the New York Times, Travel and Leisure, Forbes, and more. Was it featured by Goop? I wonder what Goop has to say about it. I say, in my magazine, I give it an A+. Whether you're looking for a cabin or a beachfront home to stay away to this winter, or already looking ahead to vacation this spring, Trippin.com can help you find the perfect place to stay. Vacation rentals offer flexibility, perks, amenities hotels don't, like multiple bedrooms, backyards, hot tubs, free Wi-Fi, and even fully stocked kitchens. You're telling me that I get food included? I'm there. Oh, what about the beach bod, though? I hit up the free mini bar. I do a couple of insanity squats, tripping. You're tripping if you're not using Tripping. That's their new slogan.
It should be.
You're tripping balls if you're not using Tripping. So you can plan and cook your own meals, great for families or large groups. With Tripping.com, one search lets you filter, compare, and sort over 10 million available properties on trusted sites like VRBO, TripAdvisor, Booking.com, and more. So this is your one-stop shop. You put it in, you don't have to shop around anymore. If you're not using Tripping.com, you are tripping, my dude. Don't wonder if you're getting the best deal, because you're going to end up saving an average of 18% per night by booking your vacation with Tripping.com. So don't forget, if you want to save time and money while booking the perfect vacation rental for your next trip, head to Tripping.com/H3 today, right now. That's TRIPPING.com/H3. Tripping.com/H3. Because if you're not going to Tripping, to plan your vacation, you're straight tripping
Tripping
balls,
balls.
my dude. Thank you for sponsoring us. If you are going on vacation soon, please consider hitting up tripping.com/H3. Next up, you lonely. It's time to take control of your life because I was lonely once. I know what it's like. It sucks. And these days, it's harder and harder to meet people and find meaningful relationships. I'm fortunate that I found Hila relatively early in my life because what would I do? A guy like me, and like my real estate value goes down with time. Like when I was 18, I was like dateable, right? Like I'm not gonna say I was like handsome, but I was dateable. But like over years, man, my value is going down, and it's harder and harder to meet people. I've got a lot of sympathy for you lonely sons of bitches out there. But here's what I've got. There's a chance for all of us. eHarmony. Okay? If you're trying online dating, chances are you've run into it. Lazy text messages, dead-end conversations, or random matches that don't turn into dates. You can't get to know someone just by looking at their picture, you dingus. eHarmony, although, listen, I'm married. I don't use it, but I have a lot of friends and family who have used eHarmony, and it's just better. It's a better experience. The way that they do, it's not like, oh, just meet and rub genitals. It's way more than that. Okay? eHarmony is unlike many other online dating sites. eHarmony takes steps that other sites don't in order to find you a more compatible match. They are built to help you find lasting, meaningful relationships, not a shallow hookup site. They have helped over 1 million people find the perfect match. eHarmony uses years and years of science, data, psychological research to send you the right match. eHarmony brings compatible people together. And if I was single, I would be all over this.
But you're not.
I'm not single.
So you better not.
I'm not. No,
Just kidding.
no. Trust me, I would do if I had a dating profile these days, it'd be like Ghost Town.
I think you exaggerate,
Ghost Town, dude.
but
I would just have other dudes with like female pictures being like, "Hey," just trying to make me like sad and shit. Listen, but that's not gonna happen to you, and it's definitely not happening on eHarmony. There are plenty of hookup sites out there. That's not what we at eHarmony are. So right now, my listeners can get a free month with eHarmony when they sign up for a 3-month subscription. Just enter my code H3 at checkout. That's a free month that you get a chance to find love. Wow. Stop waiting and start your journey to a satisfying, meaningful relationship. It can be fun to play around with online dating apps, but when you're ready to fall in love with someone and have a meaningful relationship, there's one app that's built to help you find real love, and that's eHarmony. So come see how eHarmony can change your life. Go to eHarmony.com and get started. Remember to use my code H3 at checkout for that free month with a 3-month subscription. So thank you so much to them for sponsoring us and for and even more, frankly, for believing in true love. So if you're in the market for true love, who isn't, consider supporting us by going to eHarmony. And finally, I just want to give a last-minute correction. We did a copy last week for HelloFresh, and we forgot to put their easy link in the description. So if you guys are interested in trying out HelloFresh, please go to our description. The link is there. They're a great food delivery service. It's delicious. You guys know the deal. The link is in the description. Code is H3Podcast for $30 off your first weeks of delivery. So thank you to them. That link is there. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our sponsors. Consider supporting them because it supports us. All right? Thanks for watching. Let's get right back into the juice, boy. Welcome back, everybody, to the H3 Podcast. I've got a question. One that I wanted to ask you last time, but we didn't have time to get to it. And one that really piggybacks off what you were just talking about, how there's different ways to explore the world. One of them being reading. And I think that's one very, very important and timeless way of exploring the world. What do you think about this phenomenon? Less people are reading. Like, it feels like almost nobody is reading per capita. What do you make of that? Do you see that as an existential crisis?
No.
What do you make of it?
No. Well, reading for pleasure has always been a minority occupation. Like, most people don't read for pleasure. of the people who read for pleasure, only a small proportion buy books. Of the people who buy books, only a small proportion buy difficult books. It's a specialty market. And I don't think that's changing. What I do see happening, though, is that is being expanded in surprising ways by such things as YouTube videos and podcasts.
So you can find the value in something like that is just as valuable as something you could possibly find in a book.
Well, I think that the two technologies have their advantages and disadvantages. The thing about a book that you can't get from a discussion is that a book is like a portrait as opposed to a photograph. A photograph, it's click, that's that. A portrait you layer on and layer on and layer on and work over for weeks. You still have the same single image, but there's this depth to it. And a book enables you to think and then rethink and think and then rethink. And so you can go deeper in a book than you can, I would say, in any other medium. Okay. But that doesn't mean you can't go deep in a podcast. And it doesn't mean that there's no educational utility in podcasts. Plus, there's audiobooks, right? And people are listening to those like mad.
That was another question. Do you think that audiobooks are just as valuable as books?
Oh, sure.
Just as good?
Well, the thing is, if you can really read, you can read way faster than you can listen. So reading is more effective, except that, and this is what's cool about podcasts and what's game-changing about them, I would say, is we can't read while you're driving.
Yeah.
You can't read while you're doing the dishes or exercising. And so all of a sudden with the podcast world, people have all this time that was used maybe listening to music, which is fine, right? But lots of people now are listening to like difficult podcasts.
Yeah, educational ones.
Yes, and long, detailed discussions about political issues that was never possible with television or even with radio for that matter. So, and people say, well, young people have a fragmented attention span. It's like, well, yeah, but Joe Rogan does 3-hour podcasts, and those do just fine. And your podcast is how long usually?
It's long, 2 hours, generally.
Yeah. Right, so that's not for a fragmented attention.
Sure.
So, I think it's good.
You're absolutely right. I think the number one person who listens to this podcast and podcasts in general are people who are occupied doing something else.
Yep.
And I think you're right. That's really valuable to be able to utilize that space.
Definitely. It's found time. Right. And so that's why the podcast market, I think, has exploded. It's like, oh, look, I can make use of commuters. People spend thousands of dollars a month in their time commuting. It's like, poof, all of a sudden you can make that. You can take a university degree while you're commuting, essentially, in terms of the knowledge that you can attain. Sure. So I'm not pessimistic about that at all.
And
that's
also the way that you have been using YouTube with your content is kind of amazing.
It's
the way that there's hundreds of thousands of views on your lectures and
and they're difficult. They're difficult lectures. Like they push me when I'm lecturing, and they're long. That's right. And there's a big market for high quality educational material. So, or demanding educational material, let's say.
One of the brilliant things you've done is you market yourself really well, and to the new media, I think, where your contemporaries weren't doing that.
Right.
And so you really broke new ground with that. And I mean, it's paid dividends for you, obviously.
Yeah, well, it's part of my insane curiosity, and I've always learned, it's this same thing we were talking about 10 minutes ago. It's like, I've done a lot of different things in my life, and I've always felt like a complete idiot when I started doing them, because that's why Carl Jung said, for example, that the fool is the precursor to the savior. You have to be willing to be a fool to advance, because when you first move in your new direction, what the hell do you know? You're just a bumbling dimwit, but you won't be that for long. That's the thing. Whereas if you stay in your little safe place, your little safe space, let's say, then, something will get you sooner or later. You can bloody well be sure of that. But temporarily you're safe. Well, that's not helpful. And so when I started, it started when I started talking to journalists. They would phone me and I would talk to them. And most of my colleagues they'd usually say something dismissive about journalists, like, well, they always get it wrong. It's like, well, first of all, there's no they. And what makes you think you're important enough to pay attention to anyways? And if they get it wrong, maybe it's because you didn't explain it very well. And the journalists would call and I'd talk to them. And, well, then they'd offer me an opportunity. So I got an opportunity to go on a TV show. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I'll go do that. And so I did that and it worked pretty well. And then I got an opportunity to do some more. And then I was on a regular on a TV panel news show in Ontario. And then I got this little 13-part series that they made out of my courses. And started doing public lectures, and those all worked. And then I thought, oh, well, what the hell would happen if I put these on YouTube? There seems to be a market for them. But it was pretty amateurish.
You think that whole journey started by just taking the call from that first journalist?
Oh, sure. But taking it in a particular way. It was the same way that we're having this conversation. I thought, well, a journalist has a question. I'm not doing anything expedient. I'm not saying, well, I'm hoping that something will come of this. I didn't have a specified goal in mind. I thought, let's have a conversation
And
let the chips fall where they will. Yeah. And one of the things that distinguishes me, I would say, from many of my colleagues, and perhaps from many people, is that generally when someone comes along and says, well, would you like to do this? I'd say, okay, let's give it a try. And I don't expect that I'm going to be particularly good at it how would I be? I'm certainly not as good at it as I'm going to be, that's for sure.
Right.
Because obviously when you first start something, you're just not that good at it. But, I felt like a fool when I first started to practice as a therapist, or when I first started to lecture, when I first started to work as a business consultant, when I was designing software, when I was going on, starting to do media events. It's like, what the hell do I know? I don't know how to do this. It's like, whatever, man. It's like, move ahead.
Or when you first uploaded to YouTube? Did you?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the channel kind of limped along for a while. I mean, it depends on how you measure it. But, I mean, when I really sat up and paid attention was in April 2016, the views hit the 1 million mark. And I thought, million, eh? What does that mean? And I really thought about it. I thought, 1 million's a lot. If I sold 1 million books, it's like, that's when you do the little touchdown dance, right? At the end of the field, because that just doesn't happen. And I'd never write a scientific paper that had 1 million views. That just never happens, ever, not once, right? Then you think, well, if you talk to 50 stadiums full of 20,000 people, you'd think that's noticeable, right? That's noticeable.
Yeah.
I thought, 1 million. And people were watching the lectures, like their long lectures. They were watching them. It wasn't just 30 seconds. They were in there. Like some people would browse and pop out, but lots of them were watching them right to the end. And so I thought, all right, what the hell is this YouTube thing? Anyways, what is this? It's not cute cat videos. It's, and then I thought, oh, I get it. I see what it is. It's like the invention of the printing press. It's that big. For the first time in human history, the spoken word has as large a reach and as long a duration as a book.
Right.
That's never happened, period.
It's a great analogy.
It's amazing. And then that just blew me away. I thought, oh, this is a Gutenberg revolution. This is a big deal. And so about 2 weeks later, I set up a Patreon account. And I did that because I'm inordinately curious. And I've been interested in how creative people can monetize their production, because it's really hard. Creative people produce a lot of value, but they hardly ever get any of it. It's like the artists go into the city where it's ruined and they fix it up, but they rent because they don't have any money. They fix it up, and then the yuppies move in, and so do all the high-end cool clothing stores, and soon the rents are so high the artists have to leave. Right. They didn't make any money, but the whole neighborhood is revitalized.
Yeah.
And that's the life of an artist, right? Is they get there first, but they don't accrue the material benefits. So I've been very interested in how to monetize, and then Patreon showed up, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. It's like a donation subscription model. And I didn't have a film crew filming my lectures, and I was just using an iPad, and I thought, well, why don't I set up a Patreon account? Then I'll see how it works, and then maybe if I make any money, well, then I can hire a film crew and professionalize my content a little bit. And so that worked. I was getting, like $500 US a month or something after the first month, and I thought,
it's meaningful.
Yeah. It's like, that's interesting. What the hell? People want to reciprocate. Hey, that was what was so cool.
Right.
That's why it's so irritating when people accuse me of profiteering. It's
you know what's strange? On the internet, I found this phenomenon to be true across the board. Anytime a creator attempts to make money, it's somehow frowned upon or innately a bad thing.
Yep.
I don't understand that quite.
The sellout.
People expect artists and creative people to just be poor or not to make money
or
not to care about money.
It's like you sold out.
It's
like, it is the romance.
I didn't sell out.
Yeah.
That's the thing that you hear all the time.
Oh yeah,
sell out.
You sold out. It's like, so what you're saying is that if you had the opportunity to sell out, which you don't, by the way, you wouldn't if you had the opportunity. It's like you expect me to believe that.
Sure.
It's like the reason you're not selling out is because no one is buying.
In their fantasy, they're better than you.
Right. Well, and that helps solve the wounds. Two sorts of wounds is the creativity isn't working, and neither is the money making. So it's well, like I wouldn't sell out. It's like you wouldn't have the opportunity.
Also, what does that even mean? What is a sellout?
Well, technically, someone who's selling out would be someone who is subordinating their art to propaganda or advertising, like
something you don't
they're
believe.
using it in an expedient manner.
You're going against what you know to be right.
Yes,
in a
exactly.
way. Or you're abusing your art.
Yes, exactly. That's right. You're subordinating your art to a secondary purpose. And it's part of this sort of glamorous anti-capitalist idiocy that often possesses people who are romantically creative. It's like, Jesus, you better figure out how to live, because you're not going to be making a lot of paintings unless you solve that problem.
The beautiful thing about Patreon almost is completely the opposite of what they accuse you of. Patreon allows you, if anything, not to sell out.
Right.
Because it'll let your art, it gives you the opportunity to not
worry about money.
Right. I can't get demonetized. Well, I could, because Patreon could turn on me. But they have.
It removes that whole incentive.
Right. And it's the most, what would you call it, transparent and reciprocal of interactions. It's like I give you something, and if you want, you can give something back, but you don't have to.
If you want.
Yeah, if you want, that's right. If you want. But the strange thing is that people want. It's like, and that speaks to that essential instinct for reciprocity. People actually don't want something for nothing if they value what they're being given, and that's good, because that means they're not psychopaths, essentially. They're not just take.
I honestly have found the generosity I've found of complete strangers on the internet touching.
Yeah.
Like, we had a Patreon. We don't have it open anymore. But in the early stage of our YouTube, we had something like $3,000 a month. It was like so meaningful for us, because at the time we were making maybe $1,000 a month from our YouTube channel. And that was so touching to me that people were willing to donate, what, $20, $30, $50 a month of their hard-earned money.
Even the people who give you $1, it's still amazing.
It is amazing.
I'm like, wow.
Right.
Like,
absolutely.
It's a real shot of life, because there's people out there who are so kind and open-hearted that they appreciate you that much, and they're that caring.
Yeah.
And even when we said that we are closing it because we don't need it anymore, there were still a lot of people who messaged us and said we still want to give it to you.
Yeah, right.
Really
well, that's
amazing.
that demand for reciprocity. Well, people feel existentially guilty if they repeatedly get something for nothing. They think, no, that's not sustainable. And it's true, it's not sustainable. You want, and I think it demeans you to take something for nothing repeatedly, because it violates that principle of fair exchange, and then you're not a fair game player. You're a charity case. That in the worst situation, not that that's necessarily pejorative, because people in dire straits often need a hand, but you don't want to be the eternal charity case who can never reciprocate. God, that's an awful fate.
Sure. Last I checked, your Patreon it's incredible, the amount of support. Last I checked, it was at like 40,000. I don't know what it's at now. How has that money enabled you or changed the way you live your life? What has that done for you?
Well, I still haven't figured that out. I mean, it's enabled me to help my kids get established in the city, so that's been really useful. It's enabled me to plot a course where there's a lot more risks involved. So, for example, I rented the Isabel Beater Theatre in Toronto last year. I rented it for 12 sequential dates, not knowing whether I would be able to sell any tickets to do this biblical series.
You have to give them a large deposit.
Oh, yeah. I had to pay for half of it up front, something like that. Okay. And then it's also enabled me to sort of reconfigure what I'm doing, and I still haven't. Part of the answer to that, I gave you part of the answer, but part of the answer is I have been so busy in the last 15 months every single day that I haven't had a chance to sit down and think about what I should be doing in anything resembling the medium to long term. And I don't know. I mean, there are projects that I have underway. I've started to work on this idea for an online university. And the first thing we're building, and I'm funding this with the Patreon money, we're building a competitive writing module. So imagine, this is kind of how it'll look. So imagine that we have a bank of paragraphs of all different topics, and you can pick a paragraph. And then you pick the paragraph and you can write a commentary on it, or you can rewrite it see if you can make it better, or you can summarize it, and then you post it. And then the next thing you have to do is you have to take someone else's summary or rewrite or analysis, and you have to grade it. And all you'll do is you'll see person A's summary, person B's summary, and person C's summary, and you just have to pick which one you say is best. Click, and then that person will get a point. And so that way, your writing will be rated. And then you have to give a couple of words about why you thought this one was better. And so we're setting up we want to set up an apparatus that will allow people to engage in game-like competitive writing exercises so that they can learn to write online.
Really
So
cool.
that's the first. We want to build a reading module. We want to build a writing module. We want to build a speaking module.
Cool.
And so we want to build the online university not on the model of an old university, which would be lectures, tests. There may be a space for that, but with new technology, it's Marshall McLuhan observed that the medium is the message, and what he meant by that was a car is not a horseless carriage. God only knows what a car is, right? You think a car is something that gets you from point A to B. It's like, well, yeah, car is something that transforms the content of the atmosphere and warms up the planet. Well, we didn't see that coming. A car is something that completely reshapes the way people live in cities. Well, we didn't think of that either. Right? It's also I think it's the second leading cause of death, something like that. So a car is a lot of very complicated things. And whatever YouTube is, whatever this computational power offers us, is not a brick and mortar university. It has to be a different model. Can aim at the same thing, because you should learn in a great humanities program, you should learn to speak, formulate your damn arguments, articulate yourself, learn how to negotiate, be clear. You should learn how to write, because if you can write, and this is something for people out there wondering about the value of education, it's simple. The person who makes the best argument and the person who tells the best story wins everything all the time, period. Especially if they follow up on it. And so if you can, like even if you're negotiating for a raise, it's like, you want a raise, you want a raise. You both come talk to me. It's like the person who makes the best case gets the raise, unless there's something crooked going on.
Sure.
And that happens in life all the time. So you want to be educated so you learn how to use language, because it makes you competent, powerful, influential, it eradicates resentment. It helps you collaborate with other people. It's everything to master language. And so that's the modules that we're building.
That sounds really great.
Yeah.
It sounds like some new thing that would be, and I think gamifying it.
Well, I want to put the competitive element in, because there's a competitive spirit in almost everyone, but men in particular, who are bailing out of universities like mad, will almost not do anything unless there's a competitive element.
Sure.
It's like, well, I want to learn to write. It's like, yeah. No, I want to learn to write better than you.
Yeah, now there's a leaderboard.
Exactly.
And now all of a sudden everyone cares about it.
Exactly. Well, and you think there's lots of these internet types, the troll types, who think they're smart.
Sure.
It's like, I'm smart. It's like, okay, you think you're so damn smart.
Yeah.
Here's a paragraph by Immanuel Kant.
Yeah.
See if you can write a better one.
Sure.
It's like, oh, really? And everyone will vote on it. And we'll see how damn smart you are. It's like,
great.
man, maybe you are smart. More
Sure.
power to you, man. Or maybe you will be in 2 years. So I think the competitive writing module, we're really excited about.
That sounds
Yeah.
really fun.
It sounds fun, eh?
It sounds
well,
just
and we also
interesting.
thought, here's something that would be cool. So imagine you could take a book, like a book by Immanuel Kant, which is like, it's impossible to read, or a book by Heidegger. It's just impossible to read. You could put it up paragraph by paragraph and have people rewrite it. Say, okay, here's a paragraph. Make it understandable. Well, how do we know it's good? Well, everyone's going to vote on it. It's like, so you could rewrite the whole damn book. You could crowdsource the rewriting of a classic by Heidegger so that people could actually read it. Well, that'd be a blast too.
That would
Yeah.
be such a trip. It's almost like the monkey typewriter.
Yeah, exactly.
Metaphor of old.
Yeah.
The whole aspect of voting on it is really, really makes sense. It really fits.
Yeah.
Like
well,
everything on.
what you're basically doing is crowdsourcing grading. Because,
Yeah.
like, let's say you want to teach people to write. And I have by the way, for your listeners, if they go to my webpage, it's kind of hidden. If you go to my webpage, jordanbpeterson.com, and you look in my courses, there's a course, Psych 230. And if you look in there, there's a template for writing. And you can download that template. It's just a Word document. It will tell you how to write. It tells you exactly the steps to take, and it will help you write way better than you've written before. And I want to, and I want to computerize that and gamify it as well. But the problem with teaching someone how to write is all on the grading end, because it's impossible. Like if you write a bad essay, like my students will write bad essays for their first essay, and maybe it takes them 4 hours to write a bad essay. And if I graded it properly, it would take me like 20 hours. It's like, what's wrong with your essay? Okay.
Everything.
The words are wrong because you're using words you don't understand and you're pretentious. They're put in awkward phrases because you use cliches all the time and because you're lazy and useless and you don't know anything. And then the phrases are put badly into sentences. And so the sentences aren't any good. And then they're not in the right order in the paragraph. And then the paragraphs aren't in the right order. And then the whole essay doesn't sum to anything. It's like you've made mistakes at every single level of analysis. And fixing that is like, it's impossible. It's like, I can't fix
it's
that.
like starting over.
That's right. I fix that by saying, that sucks. Do it again. Right. And so it's so costly to teach people to write because you need someone who can write to grade. And people who can write are expensive.
Sure.
And the grading is unbelievably onerous. Yeah. So we thought, well, how can we fix that? Well, we have to fix it at the production end. So we have to guide you through the production. Then we have to crowdsource the grading because then you take the expense out of it. So our goal for the university is to produce an online education system that is like 10 times as efficient and 1/10 the price, something like that. And I think that's eminently doable. Now, whether or not I will have the time to do it, that's a different matter because...
Love the idea. And if somebody's out here listening in 2 years, if it's not done, do it.
Right, exactly.
It's a great idea and it's out
and
there.
people will be working on it, you know what?
Oh, Dan just says we gave your website the hug of death, which means it's probably down from so many viewers. But I can imagine...
Which website?
Which website? Probably
You're
Jordan
the one that
B.
you said.
Peterson.
Jordan B. Peterson?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hug of death. We love you, but apparently
I
we
thought we
squeezed too
had
hard.
that thing.
It's
thought we had
okay.
that
We'll
thing.
probably come back.
It's the greatest compliment, really.
If my son is listening, Julian, see if you can upgrade our servers.
I wanted to ask you about the now infamous interview that I'm sure everybody's seen by
Channel
now.
4.
With Channel 4. If you guys haven't seen it, it's terrific. Give it a watch. It's just Jordan Peterson interview Channel 4. It'll show up. It's got like over 5 million views now. The reporter was extremely confrontational. And I think the clip was so powerful because of how calmly and skillfully you parried each of her verbal attacks. And, well, first of all, I'm wondering, did you anticipate that interview to be conducted like that? Were you expecting that kind of combativeness?
No.
Interesting.
I'll tell you what happened. So, and partly why it turned out the way it turned out. So I walked into the Channel 4 studios in London. I was having a wonderful time in London. The people at Penguin UK took wonderful care of me.
Very careful
to publish the new book, yeah. Yeah, and so I had a bunch of press appearances scheduled just back to back, and so I wasn't paying much attention.
They snuck it in there.
Yeah, well, when they didn't know, they didn't know, and so we walked into the green room, and the interviewer was there, and she was getting made up, and she was all chirpy and friendly, and we had a decent exchange, and then we went, and my wife was with me, and we had like a pleasant exchange, and then we went and sat in front of the cameras. The cameras were off. And we talked for 2 or 3 minutes, and it was all chipper and fun, And then the cameras went on. It was like she was a different person. And the thing is, I'm a clinical psychologist, and I've talked to people for, I don't know how much, somewhere between 25,000 and 50,000 hours.
Wow.
And I've talked to every sort of person you can possibly imagine and a bunch of sorts of people that you can't imagine. And so I have clinical antenna. And when someone does something like that, when they're one person 1 second and a different person the next second, it's like, I think, oh, I see. I'm not where I thought I was.
Was she? Do you think she was intentional in like the friendly backstage
Was it like
and
a
then
planned
immediately
attack?
confrontational to throw you off?
Intentional is tough. You see, if you practice something long enough, you do it automatically without intention.
Sure.
But you were intentional while you were developing the habit.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I would say, well, maybe what she was doing, or maybe she would rationalize what she was doing, was saying, well, we were two people to begin with, and then I snapped into my professional mode.
Right.
It's like, okay, I get it. Fair enough. Except, why that professional mode? So I don't buy it. It's like, yeah, I get it. Like, you're playing a hard-hitting journalist. But actually, you're not playing that. you're parodying hard-hitting journalists. Because what a hard-hitting journalist does is say, okay, here's this person, and I've investigated them, and I think that there's something not good going on. But it actually bothers me. And I'm actually curious about it. And so I'm going to think, okay, why does this bother me? And I'm going to give them a chance to defend themselves, but I'm not going to let them off the hook. And then I'm going to ask them questions that I really want to have answered. And not on behalf of someone else or anything like that. It's just like, here's your responsibility. This is what you were charged with. And it looks like this is what you were doing. What do you think of that? And the person offers their rationale. You say, well, I don't quite buy that because, I listen, but I don't buy it because of this and this. It's like, it's genuine. Even though it's like full on assault, it's genuine. But her strategy, let's say, wasn't genuine. There was nothing genuine about it. It was an act. And I knew she was acting pretty much the second the interview started because she pulled that bait and switch on me. I thought, okay. And I've had this happen to me before where I'm talking to someone and they do something. I think, oh, I'm in a clinical situation here. I'm not in the real world. I see. So
is that
I'm a
what you
different
thought
person.
when that first happened? You're like, oh my God.
I thought, oh yes, I understand. It's like, I see. I'm not where I thought I was.
Was that part of the reason why you were able to stay so cool and calm and collected?
Yeah, because I was just watching. Now, and I wasn't perfectly cool and collected either, because she did set me on edge.
Quite good, though.
You were
quite
very
good.
much.
Quite good.
It was good enough.
All things considered.
All things considered. That's right. All things considered, it was good enough. Yeah. And so I got detached, and I was watching her, and she'd say something, and I'd think, that bears no resemblance. Like, I couldn't even really be offended about it. It was like, if you misinterpret me in a way that captures 60% of what I was saying, and then distorts the other 40%, it's like, well, that can be annoying because you got me and you're twisting it. And so it sort of hurts, But if you're like 100% saying something that I didn't say, it's like, it's hard to even take offense because it's like, well, I see that you're attacking someone, but it doesn't seem, I don't know where that person is because they don't seem to be here with you.
Her famous line throughout the interview was, so what you're saying
is, and she said that over and over. It was like, she had a trick. Sure. And the trick was reinterpret the statement in the most inflammatory possible manner.
Sure.
It's like, well, first of all, that's only one trick. It's like, you should have like 10 tricks at least because you're a professional journalist.
Right.
Like, let's move on to the next trick, shall we? Or maybe, to give the devil her due, in this case, you could say, well, she's skeptical of me, and she has her reasons.
She's fairly representing a large number of people who are critical of you.
Right. So you could make that case and say, okay, so then you'd say, all right, she gets to have at me 5 times. But if that doesn't work, if it doesn't go anywhere, then she might think, oh, well, something about the way I'm approaching this is not right. The problem with the interview was that it wasn't that she was an attack dog. Like I felt afterwards, I said I felt like I'd been attacked by 20 miniature pit bulls all at once, you know. So, and I was sure, and I should say this to the credit of Channel 4 perhaps, I was absolutely sure after the interview that what would happen was that they would cut it so that I looked dreadful.
Right.
And I thought that was the certain outcome as far as I was concerned. And it didn't, like I wasn't really bothered by it because I was off to do the next thing, whatever it was. But I had no idea. Well, I certainly had no idea what was going to happen.
To their great credit, it's so easy on YouTube to disable the comments, disable thumbs up, or to cut it in this case, or not to post it at all, right? They're like, that was a disaster. I looked bad.
Yep.
To their great credit, they posted the whole thing unedited.
Yep.
Comments open, likes open, and I mean, God bless them for that, right? You know what? You really dominated that situation, and they owned it.
See, I don't think they knew that.
You think that after that they're like, that was great. Let's
well,
put it on.
I kind of know that because I had some communication afterwards through various channels to find out. Yeah, because one of the things I asked Kathy Newman through someone I knew if I said, look, that didn't go very well, and you're getting kind of shredded on YouTube, and I said, let's. It wasn't the conversation I wanted to have because like it worked out fine for me, like all these millions of people watched it.
More than fine.
More than fine. But it wasn't the conversation I wanted to have. I wanted to have an actual conversation. So I said, well, look, what we could do is, why don't we do it again? But this time, let's have a conversation.
So you said that before it was posted or after?
After.
Okay,
After,
let's make
after
another
I'd
video
blown up.
together.
Yeah, and like set this straight because
Sure.
like she was getting torn apart on YouTube.
Yeah.
And, you know, I could have sat back and thought, oh, that's so satisfying. She's getting what she deserved. And of course, there's a little evil part of me that felt that.
Sure.
But the more sensible part was saying, well, look, you know, it's like, okay, 400,000 dislikes. It's like message received. You know, that's enough, man. It's
Yeah.
enough. And so I thought, well, people make mistakes and we could have a sensible conversation and everybody could come out of this a little smarter than they were.
Yeah.
But I got a response from her, again, through backdoor channels, and she said she didn't understand what had happened because she thought the interview had gone very well.
It reminds me so much of the humongous thing, of course, which what brought us together to begin with.
Yeah.
The fact that Zarna originally posted that video thinking, hey, you know, I got him.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And
then it turned on.
Rudy had also reached out afterwards he wanted to meet and make amends.
And
be
she
cool.
didn't want
he
to.
did,
And
eh?
she, and she also rebuked him rudely. I don't know if that's what happened in your case, but
Well, no, she just didn't respond. Well,
Yeah.
no, that's not right. That's not right. She said, let's wait for this to cool down for a few days and revisit it. And it's like, well, that it didn't progress past that. But see, something happened to me that was similar to that too. And it was the thing that actually made all of this, it was one of the key stages in all of this going viral. I made those videos criticizing the Canadian compelled speech legislation.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple of protests, one against me, one for me. And at the free speech protest for me, where I was invited to talk, I came and talked, and a bunch of activists took the mic and blasted white noise and just generally behaved in a cinematically inappropriate manner. Let's say that.
Uncivilized.
Yes, in a way that didn't play well on YouTube. Well, after that, I went to my office and did some work. I came down to talk to the cops to see if everything was okay, you know, and if things had cleared up, and if anybody got hurt or anything like that. And I talked to the cops for a bit. And then on the way back, I got surrounded by unfriendly aggregation of trans activists. And they went after me and, you know, accusing me of having Nazis at the rally and all sorts of things. And they videotaped it. You know, they had their phones out and they were videotaping me, and they were gonna show the world what I was like. So we had a conversation for about 45 minutes, which they videotaped. I think, apart from the Kathy Newman video, that is the most watched video that.
Right, I know that one.
Yeah,
very well.
So and I'm sure they posted it. They posted it.
They accuse you of being Nazis.
Yeah, that's
and
right, and being a bigot and a transphobe and all these things. And they posted it because they thought this will discredit that damned professor, and it was completely not what happened.
And their accusations, what they charged you of, was just so like idiotic and unfounded. Like I can't imagine anyone watching that and being convinced because it's really nothing.
But that is the mystery, right? It's the same mystery
It's
we're
this
talking about. It's
delusion
that
of people being
they thought that would be
confidence from nothing.
and they thought that would
They
reflect
got
well
you.
on them. And I do think it's the same.
What is
as
that phenomenon?
It's ideological blindness.
Yeah. It's
You know,
just that
Confidence
blindness.
from nothing.
Yeah, well, you surround yourself with people who think exactly the
Echo
same way you do.
chamber,
Yeah,
circle
yeah,
jerk.
Yeah, exactly. And then any
Is that a kind of a shrinking?
Oh yeah, it's a terrible shrinking. Oh yeah, well that's partly why ideologies get so out of hand, is because you surround yourself with self-reflecting material.
You're not traveling.
You're not traveling
not
a bit.
exposing yourself to
No,
any,
no.
There's
and,
no yin yang.
And the circle gets tighter because you know one of your friends. So you've got rid of anyone who says anything you don't don't agree with, and then one of your friends. You're a little weaker and you're all a little more homogenous. And then one of your friends says something that's a little out of line. It's like, hey, you're out of here, man. You're the heretic or heretic. And then, well, now you're down to 5 people around you. And they're even more homogenous and smaller. And then it's 4 people. And it's like, soon there's nothing left
Race
of
to
you.
the bottom.
It's a race to the bottom. And there's nothing left of you by the time you hit the bottom. Oh, it's ugly. It's ugly. That's why you don't want to get caught in like an ideological vortex.
I think that's what's so scary about, you know, that whole movement, right? It's just so...
Or movements.
Right,
in
movements
general.
in general.
Yeah, I mean, that's the danger of ideological movements, is that they oversimplify and then fall prey to their own oversimplifications.
I want to ask you, I don't know if you followed it, but did you follow the whole Logan Paul thing on YouTube? Because that had such reach.
No, I didn't. I don't know about it. It's
Have you heard it?
I've heard about it, but so clue me in.
Yeah. So extremely popular vlogger, on top of the world on YouTube. He's killing it. Just to put it in perspective, the dude gets like 1 to 3 million new subscribers every month. 300 million views a month. He's just killing it. But most people who aren't kids watching him generally agree that he's kind of a douchebag, right? And so he goes to Japan, and he's...
Is this the corpse?
This
Yeah,
is the
the
corpse.
corpse.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So anyway, he's being really rude about the culture in Japan, but it escalates to this great moment.
Climactic.
Great, maybe, yeah. Anyway, he goes into the suicide forest, famous forest in Japan, and he finds an unfortunate soul who had committed suicide. And he ended up turning it into kind of a prop in his video. He took a thumbnail picture with it, with like the dangling body in the background. He's standing next, he's monologuing with this poor son of a bitch hanging from a noose net. Very, just, wow, over the line, just crazy. And a lot of people were shocked by it. One of the things that was really shocking that someone had pointed out was that it was about a full day before the larger community had started to be like, yo, what is going on here? His fan base, that video had like 10 million views.
No, 5. Before the whole...
5 million views, 500,000 likes, 99% likes. So on the surface level, everybody was like, this is fine, and I like it. And it wasn't until a day later where everyone was like, this is weird, this is not good, that the video started to get hate and eventually became infamous.
Right, I do remember that.
By the outside circles.
Right, outside the...
Outside his fan base and his...
I was just curious if you had thoughts about that. I don't know how familiar.
Well, I think that is a good example of the danger of an echo chamber.
Sure.
I mean, the same thing happened to some degree in the aftermath of the Kathy Newman video, because what happened the next day was that the Guardian newspaper in the UK posted a story saying... I think the title was something like Channel 4 has to call in security experts in the aftermath of interview. And then in the first few lines, they characterized me with all the epithets that I'm characterized by people who think they hate me. And then they said, well, Channel 4 had to call in security experts and the police. And I read that and I thought, okay, well, you can call in security experts about anything and the police. And the fact that they're called in doesn't provide evidence of any credible threat. It's like it's, and then she turned into the victim of the story. And so I tweeted, I tweeted to her, I said, really, you want to, this is how you want this to go? You want to be, now you're the victim of this, is that right? And then, but I also tweeted, and this was my most retweeted tweet last month because I just looked at it. I said, okay, fine, look, like maybe I looked at the comments and they're pretty rough, and there was lots of them. So I tweeted, I said, look, we were just exchanging words, right? It's like, if you're threatening her, then back the hell off.
I had seen that, yeah. I liked
come on, clue in and leave her be, It's like enough is enough.
And it's important to say.
Yeah, but the weird thing was that was picked up by a whole bunch of newspapers the next day as evidence that the threats were real. And
of course,
then I thought, well, maybe I made a mistake posting that.
That's the thing, because I run into that too. Your critics, anytime you make yourself vulnerable or attempt to do the right thing, the people who are out to get you will always leverage that against you. They don't.
Yeah, don't apologize to the mob.
But no, you most definitely should have done that because your credibility it means to your fans more than whatever.
Well, and it worked too. Yeah. Like I felt ambivalent about it when I saw how it had been twisted, and then I thought, well, maybe I should have just shut the hell up, because it's kind of sad when you, I was trying to get people to think a bit.
See, that's how social media and I felt that it makes you turn in, and I don't like that.
Right.
When you're like, man, I shouldn't have said anything.
That's right.
That's bad.
That is bad. So then 20 newspapers picked up this story all through the UK, and I thought, oh, this is how this is going to go. It's like, I had
You didn't do anything. Yeah. You got attacked in an interview.
That's right. And then all of a sudden I'm the perpetrator. Yeah, exactly. I thought, well, that's cute. And then, so that's kind of like this situation that you were describing, is that the fan base around Kathy Newman, or at least her ideological allies, let's say, said, oh no, this is terrible. She got victimized by this brute professor and all his legions of troll followers. I have 5 million troll followers apparently on YouTube, which is pretty impressive. And they're all trolls. That's also interesting. But then there was a backlash against that, right? And it was some of the more serious journalists, I would say, came out of the woodwork and said, hey, wait a minute here. Like, no, this isn't a simple victim-oppressor narrative, even though that's the only story you radical leftists know how to tell. That's not really what happened here. And then it settled out, well, apart from the fact that I would have rather just had the sort of conversation with her that we're having, because that was my goal.
Right.
It couldn't have possibly worked out more expediently for me, you know. And one of the things I've noticed...
Which is kind of her fault. She was looking for expedience.
Yes.
And it ended up
backfiring.
favoring you and hurting her.
Yes. Well, it was the same thing that happened with the protest. This has happened to me. It's another reason why I think I was able to remain composed during that interview. I went to McMaster University about a year ago, a little more, and it was just insane. Like, the protesters occupied the room and they were all chanting and yelling and screaming away. And there was, in those crowds, I've noticed this, in those crowds, there's always 2 or 3 people, they're usually men, who are, a lot of them are just like silly, quasi-deluded, virtue signaling, 18-year-old people who just don't know any better, right? They're there because their professors sent them, and, you know, and I'm looking at them and I think, oh, you know, you're just deluded kids fundamentally. But there's always a few people at those rallies who are really not good people, and there were a couple there. They're just psychopaths who are looking for trouble, and I could see a couple of them. In fact, they were the same ones at a couple of different protests, and one of them was behind me with a woman, and they were blaring an air horn at me from about 2 feet away, and that was like, look, I don't care. You can yell all you want, but like, you deafen me at your peril, right? So anyways, I dealt with that. But I just let them yell and scream and do their thing, and I tried to talk, and they drowned me out completely. And then the police closed the venue because there were too many people in the room, and the protesters wouldn't leave. So then I went outside, and I stood up on a table, and I talked to people outside, you know, and that video worked out extraordinarily well for me again. But what I've noticed, this is the thing that's been so strange, is that over the last 15 months, knock on wood, every time I've been pushed into a corner and remained composed, the narrative reversed every single time.
That's what something I've noted, is that every time they come at you, you get more followers. For every critic that comes at you, you get 10 more followers. And this pattern we've seen it over and over again, and yet they still come.
Yeah, less though.
But the thing is, it really goes back to what you said. They're being expedient.
Yeah.
You're being genuine.
Yeah. Mostly the ones who come after me now are academics who are incautious, let's put it that way, because that's certainly what they are. They're incautious. And journalists who are unscrupulous and looking to
get some clicks.
Yeah. And less so the protesters. And I've really put the protesters, the social justice types in Canada, in an awkward position. It's actually, this is the evil part of me talking. It's one of my proudest accomplishments, let's say, because I figured out how to monetize social justice warriors.
How's that?
Because they come out and protest against me, and then my Patreon account grows.
Oh, yeah.
And that just irritates them.
You sell tickets, your Patreon account grows, you get
them
subscribers.
To death. It's like, oh my
They're
God, what are we going to do with this guy?
They're doing it.
It's like, we can't let him talk, because if he talks, then people listen to him. That's no good, because he's this evil guy. He's an evil capitalist, which I immediately admit to. It's like, yeah, I'm an evil capitalist. It's like, you got a problem with that? It's like, so that just doesn't work very well. It's like, well, we come out and protest him, and then he gets richer, and there's nothing that's more annoying to someone, especially when people are just donating the money, essentially. So like in Edmonton recently, this city in Alberta, I had booked a theater, and we'd signed like 3 levels of paperwork. We were 1 level away. I had tweeted that I was coming to the theater, and then they decided that I couldn't go to the theater. You know, despite the fact that I'd had a book published by a major Canadian publisher. It's Penguin, you know, it's not like, it's as credible.
That's as major
as reputable as it gets. And so they just canceled it, and then they lied about it. It's like, oh, well, Dr. Peterson hadn't signed the final paperwork, which was true in the narrowest technical sense, because we were operating on good faith.
Certainly wasn't your intention to ever cancel that.
No, it certainly wasn't.
Which is what they made it sound like.
Well, or that I jumped the gun by announcing it. It's like, no, look, guys, we've been negotiating about this for a month. You gave me the go-ahead. I went through the 3 lowest strata. There was one formal thing that had to be done. So they canceled me. Well, and that caused all sorts of fuss. But then an hour later, this guy emailed me from a hotel, and he said, oh, you can do it at our hotel. We have a venue for 700 instead of 250, and it's sold out. It's
Wow.
And the Ryerson University canceled our free speech event. We had 200 people slated to attend. 1,500 people came to the one that we held as a replacement.
When people learn that trying to repress free speech only makes it louder.
Yeah.
Like time and time again.
Yeah.
The harder you try, even when it comes to violence, it makes it even louder.
Yeah.
It was one of our big breakthrough on
That's
YouTube
true, yeah.
when a YouTube network falsely took down a video of ours.
We were critical of one of their clients, and they filed what's called a DMCA, which is a legal
Oh,
takedown.
yeah, that was the legal case that you guys had.
Before
That
that.
was
Before that.
Yeah.
It was
But that
before
was our
that.
big break. We were a small channel, and there was this huge controversy because we were like, man, this is not... We made a video about it, calling them out. Like, this is bullshit. Like how dare they take down our like, silence us and censor us because we're critical of one of their clients. And, I mean, that was one of our big breaks.
Right.
Yeah, that video talking about it went, you could say viral, you know.
Right.
It was
For the
on
time,
Reddit.
sure,
yeah,
yeah.
for the time.
Right.
And it ended up, we grew so much from that whole story.
So one of the things I've learned in the last 15 months is I've learned a lot. I've learned that most people, the majority of people, are far more timid than you would think, even if you thought they were timid.
True.
I've learned that there are marked exceptions to that. So James Damore is a good example. Like, he's a very quiet, soft-spoken guy, but the guy's got a spine of steel, you know. And Lindsay Shepherd, the woman who was involved in the Wilfrid Laurier scandal in Canada, like, they messed with the wrong girl because she's tough and straight. Like, she hasn't made a single error dealing with what's been an immense international scandal around what happened to her. She just plowed through that like a trooper, man. It was really impressive. So, although most people, perhaps the majority, are too timid to risk.
They don't want to rock the boat.
No.
Why
and
bother?
you can understand that.
Sure, of course. There's been times during the lawsuit, I thought many times, like, I should have just fucking settled this from the start.
Yeah, right. Well, you would think that in the middle of a lawsuit, because lawsuits, it's like having an illness. It's like, will this ever go away?
Really
It's like you don't generate a lawsuit lightly, because even if you win, it's like a couple of years of your life.
Nobody
it's
wins
really
a lawsuit.
There is no winning.
That's for sure. That's for
It's
sure.
like divorce.
It
Nobody
is,
really wins.
especially divorce with kids.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You know, that can be 10 years, 15 years out of your life. You really got to watch that. I wouldn't recommend it.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's not pleasant.
I wanted to ask you to follow up the whole conversation about your interview. What was it like afterwards when the cameras went off and it was all wrapped up? What happened? What happened with you guys?
Oh, it was fine. It was back to normal life.
Thanks.
Like
Hey, thanks for the interview. That was
Oh
great.
yeah, absolutely.
And were you
exactly
just like?
that. Oh no, I was. Well, first of all, I was rushed because we were moving,
Right,
so
you
I
were
didn't
on
have a lot of
schedule.
time to think. But what I thought, I went back into the green room, and my wife was there. I just shook my head. I said, "Oh, you know, wow, that was really
the hell was
something.
that?"
What the hell was that?" Yeah, and I told her, "Look, I was not happy with the interview, mostly because I thought that
You were duped.
I thought they'd cut it."
Yeah.
You know, no, even that. I didn't even care about that because that's
yeah.
happened to me
Okay,
before. It's
sure.
like, okay, this didn't go the way it was supposed to, but whatever. Like, I'm not going to whine about that. Like, everything that happens to me can't be, like, extraordinarily good.
Yeah.
And so now and then this is going to happen. So, okay. But I was concerned that they would be crooked in the editing room. But then I didn't think about it much after that. And then they posted it, and then it was just crazy. It was still crazy. I mean, it was number 7 trending on YouTube for like 3 days, and
Over 5 million views.
I know.
That's nuts.
I know. Well, and that only counts the direct views of the video, right? Because
Right.
people have cut it up.
It's on Facebook,
Oh,
probably.
yeah.
It's all
and
over
they've
the
done
place.
analysis of it. And, it's just
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah. You've seen this guy,
Yeah,
Charisma
we
on
watched
Command,
one
made
of
this
them.
video about, how to be composed under fire and analyze. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah,
likes on
that's
that
the
thing.
guys that I had confused with the other people that you were talking about.
right,
Yes. Yeah. I haven't watched that, but it got, what, how many views has it got?
Probably close to
800,000 or
1,000,000.
something? Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, there's some other questions I want to ask you, but we're pushing the 2-hour mark, so I'm going to move to wrapping it up. But in the last episode we did together, we had finished off by asking you for a ghost story. And you had offered us a wonderful little tale of a haunted hotel. Do you remember?
Yeah.
But you had also mentioned you had another one. You had mentioned at the beginning you had two, and you would tell us the funnier one.
Yeah.
Are
It's not funny. It's a ghost story too.
Are you open to telling the second one?
I can try.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I was in northern Saskatchewan it's got to be 20 years ago now. And I had gone to visit some cousins that I hadn't seen for years. And I was close to them when I was young, and I admired them. They were the woman in particular, she was the most beautiful woman I ever met. She was one of those women that was so beautiful you couldn't even be near her. It was just too much to bear, and it wasn't good for her. It was too much,
Helen of Troy.
Yeah, really, just amazingly beautiful woman. Her mother was a very beautiful woman too, and so her sister as well, but she was particularly stellar. And I was very close with her sister, who was my age. And we went to visit them in this little town in Saskatchewan, and she was living in a basement apartment with a baby, and this is the beautiful woman. And it wasn't really happy time. Like, I had gone off to university, and my sister was with me, and so was my brother. We had gone off to have our adventures, and they had kind of stayed in this little cloistered small town environment, and I thought they were both. She hadn't manifested her full potential, let's say. And so it was kind of melancholic, sad, Bruce Springsteen sort of,
Right, sure.
glory days thing. And so we were there for a while, and we were there for a couple hours. My brother, my younger brother, had really hero worshipped this woman when he was a kid. And not surprisingly, and when we left, my sister, who's a very clear-headed person, turned to me and said, "Glory days," in reference to the Bruce Springsteen song. And that was kind of sad, and because it was right. And my brother just got upset. He was just upset about that because he thought that what my sister had said was mean. And perhaps it was, but it doesn't, or maybe he thought that what she said was cruel or impolite or any of those things. But she was willing to see the stark reality, and he was not. And he was having some trouble in his life at that point with his marriage and with other things. And I was very irritated that he went after my sister. Now, we had got back together. We were living in very different parts of the world, and so we'd got back together too. It wasn't like we'd been hanging around with each other that much. And so we drove back to another relative's house for Christmas. It was like 30 below, 11 o'clock at night. Bare Saskatchewan highway. No one on it because there's no one on the Saskatchewan highways, especially not at 11 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night when it's 30 below and the snow was drifting across the roads. And I was having a serious conversation with my brother, telling him that it wasn't appropriate for him to go after my sister just because she could see what was right in front of her face. And he was kind of naive, And so we had a kind of a scrap. And but we were trying to sort things out. And so then we got to my aunt's place, and they lived in a farm in northern central Saskatchewan. It was very pitch dark and like icy, bitterly cold. It must have been, I said 30 below, but I think it was colder than that. It was plenty cold, man. And my sister went in the house, and my brother and I weren't done talking. And so I said, "Look, let's not go in. We're not done talking yet." So we went into my cousin's garage. It was an old log garage. And inside that, he had a 1970 AMC sports car, rare car, that he was restoring. And he hadn't touched it for a couple of months. It wasn't heated in the garage, and it had a tarp over it. And I was talking to my brother, and the conversation was getting more heated, and I had this uncanny sense, and I can't remember this exactly right because it's so long ago. I had this uncanny sense that something was going to happen. And I said to him, I knew he had been reading Carlos Castaneda, and there's a bird in Carlos Castaneda that shows up now and then when Castaneda has something to learn. And I said, you should be careful, because if you don't open your eyes, then something is going to come to visit you that you do not want to see. And at that very moment, there was inside the trunk of that car, which had been sitting there not being touched for like a month, there was the beating of large wings, and it was really, really loud and really obvious. And there was a sense of there was a sense of the uncanny around it. You know, it was like it was so perfectly timed. It was a synchronous moment.
Your
and
brother
I said,
heard it.
"Oh yeah, my
Both
brother
heard
heard it. Oh yeah, we both heard it. That was for sure. We both heard it. Yeah." And I said that's going to happen again. And it happened again. I said, that's going to happen again. And it happened again. So it happened 3 times. And 3 is an interesting number, because if something happens 3 times, it's not once. You know, it's 3 times.
Yeah.
I said, you know, that
it's a pattern.
This spirit of wisdom has visited you, and you have something to learn. You know, and so we both left the house, and we were quite shaken up by that. We didn't know what to say.
Did you look in the trunk?
No,
Like,
no. Well, no, and that's a great question, because afterwards we both thought, well, why didn't we just go in the house and like get the keys? But I'll tell you, when something like that happens, that isn't what you do. That's all I can say about that. It's like there wasn't anything in the trunk. Like there wasn't an owl. There wasn't an owl in the trunk. It's like, first of all, how could there be an owl in the trunk?
Sure.
First, it would be dead. It's 40 below. Like nothing lives, you know, when it's that cold. And what? It's just sitting there waiting for that moment to flap its wings.
Sure.
It's like, so part of the reason
you both knew there's nothing in there.
That's right. You don't. It was so obvious that the right response wasn't. The right response was when the bird of knowledge visits you in the middle of the night to teach you something. The right response is not to look in the trunk. Right. So we walked in. We walked into the house, and that's fine. And so he went to sleep, and he came to me the next morning. He said he had a terrible nightmare, that he was fighting off this like demonic creature at night with a electric carving knife. And so we talked about that. And that was all well and good. And so then about 4 years later, we went back to the same place. And we were walking, my cousin, they had a house and then another house about 1/8 of a mile away on the same farmstead. And we were staying in the second house. It was an old house. And so we were walking back from the house where this had happened to the other house. And we were talking about it because it was an uncanny experience. And there were some other things that happened associated with it that I can't explain. It's too complicated to explain them. And so we walked into the house and we turned on the lights, and we got to the moment where we were talking about the bird appearing in the trunk, and the lights went off in the house. And so it was like an echo. It was like a tap. It's like, this happened 3 times. And whap! Like, here's a reminder that it happened. And, well, that was that. That was the second ghost story. And it was like, not explicable. And not explicable to him either. And
it's great that you guys shared that.
Yes, yes, definitely. Definitely.
Do you still talk about it with him from time to time?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We still talk about it.
Incredible.
But there's no explaining it any more than there was.
Is that car still there in the garage?
No, I don't believe so. It was a long time ago. I think my cousin probably sold it. So
whoever got that car.
That's right. They got the bird. They got more than they bargained for.
Yeah. Wow, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
That was great.
No problem.
Well, thank you again for coming and joining us and gracing us.
Well, thanks very much for the invitation.
It was a
great
great
conversation. It
a
sped
good time.
by.
Guys, remember Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life and Antidote to Chaos, available on Amazon, and soon it's publishing. What's the difference? It's on Amazon. Did they already publish it? How does that work?
Yeah, it's available everywhere.
It's available everywhere.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anywhere. And you also had the self.
Oh yes, this program.
Yeah,
I have 2 programs that people might be interested in. One is called self-authoring, and there's a code that will go up.
It's
H3,
on the screen right now.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's active yet, but it soon will be. 20% off on that program. And that program, it's a writing program online. It's designed to help people set their house in order. You can write an autobiography because it'll help you update your vision of yourself, bring things that you haven't fully processed in the past into order so that you can be free of them. It helps you analyze your virtues and faults so that you get some sense of who you are in the present, how to rectify your faults and capitalize on your virtues. And then it helps you, these are 3 separate programs, then it helps you define a vision for your future. So imagine that you were treating yourself like you were someone you were responsible for helping. That's rule 2, by the way. You might say, well, 3 to 5 years down the road, you can have whatever you want. Okay, that's the deal. But you have to define it. You have to know what it is. You have to think about it. It's like, what do you want from your friends? What do you want from your family? And what are you willing to, offer in return? Do you have a career plan? Do you have a plan for your education, for your physical and mental health, for your use of temptation, drugs and alcohol, for example? You can have what you want, but you have to define it. Now write for 15 minutes about the life you could have if you were treating yourself properly. And it would be the life that would justify the suffering and difficulty that it would take to accomplish it, because that's what you're aiming at. And then you're asked to write for 15 minutes about a counter vision, which is, okay, you don't do any of this, you let your bad habits and your resentment overtake you, and you end up in the dark place that's special just for you in 3 to 5 years. What does that look like? So then you have your little hell to avoid, and so when you're feeling weak and useless and thinking, why should I do this? And the hope isn't enough, you'll think, oh, it's so that I don't end up in hell. Oh yeah, okay, I'm on board for that. And when you're a little more positive, you can think, well, this thing that I posited is really worth attaining. And then it asks you to make a strategic plan around that. So that's self-authoring. And thousands of people have done that. We have great data from university students indicating that if kids do that, even for an hour, that it increases the probability that they'll stay in school by about 30%.
Wow.
Yeah, because people don't make a plan for their life. They think, life happens to me. I'm a leaf in the wind. Sure. It's like, well, yeah, but you don't have to be.
Yeah. Oh, that exercise alone of just imagining, like, what is it that you actually want 3 years from yourself is something
it just makes you focus.
That's
you
right.
need to find that focus.
That's rule 10. That's exactly right. That it makes you focused. It's like you cannot hit a target that you do not aim at.
Sure.
Right? So you have to define the target, and then it orients your perceptions. It orients your perceptions themselves and your emotions.
I can say empirically that every paradigm shift, great thing that's happened in our lives has always been the result of exact focus and vision. Or we figure out exactly what we want and we just aim for it.
Yeah. Well, I've seen this as a clinician. It's like, why don't people get what they want? Well, sometimes they have terrible luck. That happens. Let's make no mistake about that. But the most common reason that people don't get what they want is because they don't specify what it is.
No
and
focus,
it's also the case if you're negotiating with your partner. It's like, well, you have this relationship. It's not going very well. Okay. Why don't you try telling your partner exactly what you want? Well, I don't know what I want. Well, then, what do you want them to guess? It's like, good luck with that.
And by the way, it's not easy figuring out what you want to focus on.
Sometimes
It's not. You got to push through it.
Sometimes it just takes the making yourself think about it for a moment.
Right.
Just think with yourself, what is it that I really want?
Yeah, well,
because normally you don't do that.
No,
you
don't.
Don't stop and think about it.
No, you don't. Well, and you open up your imagination. It's like there's this line in the New Testament, knock and the door will open, ask and you will receive. And you think, no, that can't be true. It's like, that's so naive. It's like, well, try it. It's like, sit down and say, okay, maybe I could have what would be good for me. Dare I ask myself what I want? Well, then you're terrified because you think, well, if I specify what I want, then I know when I fail. It's like, that's annoying. Keep that all vague and foggy. You don't know when you fail. That's convenient, except you fail, which sucks. And you never get what you want or what you need. And then you get bitter and you hate everything. And your life sucks and you get old quick and you die miserably. It's like, that's not so good.
The poison to chaos, or that's a different book.
Yeah, right.
That's another book for next time.
Well, and so the other site is
chaotically.
understandmyself.com. And that's an easier site. That way, there you can spend about 10 minutes filling out about 100 questions, and it will give you a very detailed analysis of your personality. And that can be, because what you should know who you are well enough so that you can match who you are to where you're going. Because if you're not very conscientious and you're very open, you're an entrepreneurial and creative type. If you're really, really conscientious and not very open, not very creative, then you're a managerial and administrative type. And if you're introverted, it's like, how about you don't do sales? Because it's going to be hard on you.
Yeah.
And if you're extroverted, it's like, well, maybe computer programming might not be for you because there's just not enough social content,
Right.
So anyways, Understand Myself can really help you figure out what your personality is. And it's kind of a hard test, harsh test, because it actually tells you who you are. But better to know.
Sure.
Or maybe not.
No, well,
I think better to know.
I think better to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better the
I think
devil
it's just,
you know.
it's just a matter of how ready you are. I think, and there's a time where everyone should be ready for that. At any rate, thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Hey,
Wish the best for you, always.
but the feeling is mutual. Thanks
you,
a lot
sir.
for the invitation.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
It's been a joy, and wish you the best with the book. That's wonderful. I think it can help a lot of you guys consider picking it up.
It's always an honor when you're here.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, really. Great time. So, guys, hope you had a great time. Hope you have a great weekend ahead. God bless you. Here's the atheist wishing everyone a God bless you. Maybe that says something. Next week, Friday, we're back with Captain Disillusion. Looking forward to that. So with that being said, have a great weekend, everybody, and we shall see you next time. Ta-ta.